Okay, go. You do the intro.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? What do you say? No sponsored bullcrap. Hey guys, this is Apsy and this is Karak right here, and we are
Four, two,
podcast
eight.
number 428. There has been a lot of news, including PlayStation. What are they doing? A
Getting
lawsuit
sued.
against PlayStation. They're getting sued. There's The Last of Us Part 2 remastered news for that. There's kotor is kotor. Why am I
KOTOR.
kotor being worked on or not worked on? I suck at this, dude. You just put me on the spot. And a lot of questions from chat from you guys that we are very, very looking forward to answer. Also,
Now you did fine. You did fine for just
Yeah,
randomly
no,
not
but,
knowing
dude,
that you were going to have to do it.
yeah, my words were all over the place. I could
Yeah.
not speak. And KOTOR being worked on by Saber. Oh, I said that. And DLC and mods and shit that I found that look cool. Yeah.
There we go. Perfect intro for the best gaming
Thanks, man.
podcast. Number 428. 428, man. I haven't done anything 428 times. Maybe shower, masturbate, sex. Like, there's not a lot of stuff
Masturbate,
you
I'm
do
pretty sure-
428 times.
If I were to
You're
say,
pretty sure? You're like,
let's say ever since I was 14, let's average it out twice a
14?
day.
The happened to you?
Grade
Why
6, I
14?
think I discovered it. Grade
What?
6. Wait, is that 12?
That's
12.
late.
Wait, is that grade 6 is late?
14
my friend-
is late.
Because I remember, dude, we were in the science lab. I think we were mixing
Don't
chemicals.
get too
and shit.
racy. Don't get too racy.
Right. But my friend was like, "Yo, have you tried this thing?" Yeah. Let me.
You had a friend to ask you if you've tried something?
Yeah. It was like, dude, check this out. Do this, and then you know what I mean. And I was like, whoa. So I tried it. Okay, let's say 365 times. I'm 29. 29 minus 12 is 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I okay?
So
17
you're saying
times
did it.
2, 12,410.
That was if you did it every day. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
twice
I'm
a day.
assuming you would be dehydrated at some point. Like, at some point, you're going to need a hydration
Yeah.
mark. Speaking of birthdays,
yeah.
though, yeah, it is your birthday. You're
Yeah.
20,
Oh, what's up? Thank you.
20, 28, 29.
29.
29
yeah, I'm
years
almost
old.
30. Yeah,
Almost
one
30.
year
And
left.
at 30, dude,
Yeah.
you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, why
Yeah.
does my back have this weird tinge to it? And it's all over.
Oh, dude, I already got that.
Oh,
man,
did you?
sometimes.
I got it at
Body
27.
hurts and
I
shit.
remember when I
Yeah.
turned 27, a couple things slowed down. I was like,
Yeah.
that's cool. Are you
Yeah.
guys doing anything for your birthday?
We ate Chinese. I ate a bunch of Chinese.
Smart.
Some really
Smart.
good. Yeah, some really good
Smart
Chinese.
carb up for the podcast.
Yeah, I carved up. I cheated today. Yeah.
You're
It's
going to be all
pretty
carved up for the first like 45 minutes and then just crash, man. Just
Yeah,
need to have some cinnamon to level out the blood sugar. What's up, everybody in chat? We have a $5 super chat. I'll get to it in just 1 second. It is, found it. ACG said Galaxy Rangers does not make sense, yet Dune is a high-tech universe where they downgraded the tech due to reasons.
Dune?
$5 super chat. Yeah.
Or like the game?
No, in the world, Dune.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very, like, it's sort of like the old Empires type of stuff. I don't remember saying Galaxy Rangers doesn't make sense, but I'm pretty sure I meant the horses being robotic and still riding them when you have spaceships through space. So there's multiple things about Galaxy Rangers that doesn't make sense, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Okay.
So Hush held it close to his chest. He's like, he must be a Galaxy Rangers fan. It's like, how dare you? How dare you talk about
Thanks,
that?
chat. Thank you so much. You guys are all nice today, man. What's going on?
They're always
Thank you
nice.
so much.
I mean, for the most part,
they?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
the
think
most
so.
part, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, for the most part. We're not in there like Johnny, who's always secretly, covertly, looking at
Oh,
chat.
looking at chat.
Is
I
Johnny
do.
in here?
I look
Probably.
at chat, but
I do.
Yeah,
I do
anyways.
sometimes. It just all depends. We're
True,
going to
true,
cover, like Abzi said, a bunch of stuff. KOTOR and Sony being sued. There's not a huge amount of like really intense news. So a lot of it's just going to be holiday celebration because there won't be a podcast Friday because we'll be traveling, or I will be traveling for that. So it's not going to be a high stakes podcast. There just really wasn't a ton of news other than KOTOR. Some people said it wasn't being worked on. That's why I called it into question last week. I was like, not being worked on doesn't mean what I think some people think. And then Jason Schreier updated it and said, yeah, it is being worked on. It's like it's one of those
It's
things that's in
getting
flux, obviously.
yeah, it's like Dead Island 2 and like Vampire the Masquerade type shit, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, and Vampire the Masquerade is another one I'm really weary about. Like I'm just they're not gonna. I saw some gameplay that they showed with the interview, and one of my favorite things about the original game was there was that flavor to it, right? There was a lot of flavor to like the dialogue. Like you'd be talking to someone and there's just so much style. Each person had like a style with really good writing too. And this just seemed like every other, like, just what do you call it? Like just like Saints Row type shit where everything's just
milk toast, sort of leveled down.
Milk toast, just middle, just normalized. I was like, damn, dude. Yeah. But I mean, so with KOTOR, I hope they don't do that.
With KOTOR, luckily they have sort of a thing that it's just a remake, so it's like they're going to probably aim for the same mechanics and stuff. With with vampires, it feels like everybody has a vendetta to settle. So when it gets made, it'll be like, look at us, and it may be really adjusted for today's gamer, which might not be super fun. We'll just have to see what it turns out to be. I'm excited for it, but I'm excited in that I just am excited to see, even if it turns out bad, you're like, all right, well, that one's down, We're sort of out of announcements right now. It's like Starfield's come out.
Are we?
Spider-Man's come out. Yeah.
Oh, for this year? Yeah, it's all next year now.
Yeah. It's like,
I don't know,
get
like we have
Stalker
Avatar.
I'm interested in, but there's nothing really... Well, I guess what I mean is there's no rumors of anything huge yet. There's not...
GTA 6.
Huge.
Kinda.
GTA 6, this is going to sound weird. It's hyped out to me. It's achieved its peak hype, and that's where it is. And so it
GTA
doesn't...
6 itself.
Yeah,
achieved
GTA
like
6.
the peak. Right, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because, I mean, I can't wait. I'm excited, but I'm like... Until I play it, I don't know if I can go any higher than saying, man, I hope it's like GTA 5, but better. And that's sort of...
Unless they blow us away in the trailer.
What if?
Yeah.
Okay. What would they have to do to blow... What would they have to do to blow? What would they have to do to blow somebody away in a GTA 6 trailer?
Systems.
Like what, though? What would make you... You can only say one. What would make you... If you were watching a trailer and... You saw it, what would make you go, oh my God?
Fuck, man. I hate using this word, but if I had to wrap everything up in one thing that Red Dead did way better than GTA 5 and that I would like to see in GTA 6 would be immersion.
You mean like the ability to touch and fondle and move things around in the game world? And
NPCs mostly, like detail in the NPCs, the scripting. By systems, I mean like ongoing system. Like Red Dead had a lot of systems outside of quests. It had a lot of things you can just go there and do in the world. Just things to do just because you want to do it. There's some progression there, some crazy shit happening. I want like these secret random things that can just happen when you're like traveling around the world. I think with Red Dead, what they really nailed is the sense of exploration without just going from like quest to quest, because you don't know what's going, like, you go out to hunt and then something may happen, and you go next to this like abandoned house, and then some family invites you in or something and does some weird shit to you, and there's all these like things happen. Emergent gameplay. Yes, that's the right word. Yeah, I love that. And I want to see more of it. I saw some leaks about it, about the map itself being more similar to Red Dead, whatever that means. I didn't really look into it that much because it's a leak, but apparently it's like, I'm assuming there's going to be more wildlife or something to it, that maybe an outskirts or something.
I think people also forget that GTA 5 has a bunch of gameplay, but like you said, the systems aren't in place. It's been supported by role players and by people who just do it. Yeah. And so there are some things that would be great to see, in GTA 6 that were
working
like
at a
built in.
Burger shop.
Yeah, working at a burger. Like, I mean, it probably won't make any sense for the narrative, but like, I mean, there were times where I'm playing it right now. In fact, I'm playing Red Dead. I played a bunch last night, and Chuck or whatever his fucking name is, the main guy, will be like, hey, you need to go over and do this, and I'll go skin animals. What the hell's his name? Not Arthur.
Chuck, right? Chuck Liddell, not Liddell.
Chuck Liddell's a fighter, which would be amazing. Dutch. It would be amazing if he replaced Dutch. Okay. It's like, woo, celebrating in the background. Yeah, so GTA 6, there's definitely systems that they could build in for things like that. I would be excited to see them. We'll just have to sort of sit back and hope that they don't go too nuts on the online. I want the online to be good, but I want the main. If the main game's good, I'll play the online. If the online's good by itself, there's actually a high chance I'm not going to experience that. I need the GTA single player. Christopher Jetzer, $5 super chat. I think I saw VGC say that Focus delayed Space Marine 2 to the second half of 2024. But we might find out the release date at the Game Awards. Can't wait. Yeah, so we talked about this almost 2 months ago. We've known it's been delayed for a long time. I don't quite know if I was going nuts and I was told in PR and it wasn't announced, but that's why I kept saying it's been delayed, which is awesome. They clean it out, let them fix. I want Space Marine to rock, and I was talking about it in my preview. It's pretty framey. There's a lot of it's like Banishers. Banishers got delayed, and I got to tell you, all the power to them.
Delaying is always a good thing.
Yeah, they needed to delay.
What did Gabe Newell say recently? A game sucks always sucks. Gabe said a new quote.
Oh yeah,
the other quote.
He ripped off the quote that isn't real. That
isn't
awesome.
real because
it isn't a real
everyone
quote.
thinks it's Miyamoto's quote, but it's not actually.
But it was like, bad is or suck is forever or whatever. But
something like that. Yeah. But
it's a good quote because it makes sense. It does make sense. We remember it forever. I mean, if you look at like Redfall, if Redfall were to, even No Man's Sky, every time we talk about No Man's Sky, somebody has to mention, and it's been me, where you pop in and say, but remember day one, so like you can't, gamers' memories were like elephants.
No Man's Sky and Final Fantasy 14 are the only ones. I mean, okay, Final Fantasy 14, I don't even think about 1.0 because I think they changed the name. They changed it to A Realm Reborn or whatever. So it's as if it's like a completely different game. But even No Man's Sky, to an extent, like, I don't even like that shit is way back there. I think they've gone above and beyond so much. Like, I think it's the fact that they didn't just release it to an acceptable state. Like, it's not like Cyberpunk 2.0. Like, they didn't just fix it. They fixed it and then they went above and beyond and got like way more systems involved that they didn't even talk about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't even remember though. Yeah.
TSW Gaming, TSWS Gaming, $2 super chat. Ham Solo here. You think GTA 6 is 2024, 25? We've made a bet. I said 25. Abzi thinks 2024 at the end, right?
Yeah.
And the bet is we'll just donate, right? Wasn't that the bet? We, instead of giving it to each other, we'll donate it to somebody. Dude, I would happily lose that bet. If it's 2024, I'm going to be the first person to be like, paying up.
Yeah,
no
for me, it's either
there.
win-win or lose-lose.
Yeah,
dude.
right. You're in the end.
I took the...
It's a good bet to make. Technically, I'm excited for it. I just think that with GTA, they did say no punching down, as Big Mac just said, which I think is a little. I mean, they can punch down to me, even though I'm at a different luck level in life than some people that they might punch down to. I sort of hope that has gone the wayside and the punching down still happens, because that they punched down, but they punched up a lot towards Apple. They just took the shit out of Apple. They took the shit out of Microsoft, AI, all that stuff. They're good at sort of punching everywhere, I guess. They're like that friend that teases everybody equally, and I sort of hope they continue that. Jemmy5404, $5 super chat. Hey, boys, I love having these Wednesday podcasts for the work week. You always get my likes and shares. P.S. Either of you play Lethal Company? Yes, we're going to talk about Lethal Company.
Oh, we are going to talk about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I've got it separated.
Crazy climb. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple emails here. Sip Simpat says, Karak, suggest one musical artist to me.
Oh, shit.
Ron Jenkins. Ron Jenkins is good. What about you? One artist, just a random art. Or it can be just a music rock. It can be a band, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking of I have so many. God, shit, fuck it. Portishead.
There you go. Don't even know who that is.
90s band-ish thing.
Oh, really? Sterno Durank says, with all the controversies around influencers, we were just talking about this prior to the podcast, holding on to money, calling gamers broke boys, do you think the influencer days are behind us? They are the Q-level movie stars of yesterday. Yes, I stole the rating from you, Karak. Do we think it's over? No. Influencer, they'll always be with us.
What's
right?
over?
Influencers. He's just saying,
No.
does the consistent feedback about the influencers start to feel like, at some point, people are just going to get fed up? I don't see people getting fed up.
I don't know, man. There's like Gen Z is growing up, man.
True, right? They might grow up and just be like, we're done with this. They might go more towards
I think it's the opposite, man. It's just it's leaning more into it, dude.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Did you ever see Fifth Element with Bruce Willis?
Yeah, of course. I love that movie.
The Chris Rock character, the over-the-top character, the staff. That is influencers right now. And it is. I was watching it yesterday because it's free on YouTube going, oh my God, that's... Yeah. It seemed so out of control. When you watched the movie originally 20 years ago, you're like, dude, nobody'd ever act like that.
Wait, it wasn't Chris Rock. It was the
other
guy
one,
from
Tucker? Was it Tucker?
Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker.
One of the Chris's. One of the... Yeah, he was in the... Fuck, I was going to say...
Rush?
Rush Hour. Rush Hour.
Yeah. It's just like when you look at it, I guess you call me an influencer, but really the people who are like thespian actors with their voices and I'm tearing up.
Oh, that the overreactions.
That is legitimately what Dude, they are now. Weird.
Have you seen? Oh my God! Have you seen those like influencer girls usually who people donate like random shit and they act like robotic and go like gang 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 and then oh fuck!
I saw somebody teasing it, but I haven't seen one myself. Luckily, my YouTube shorts are shorter than that. I wonder what kind of music Karak listens to. Zachary Park says every music. I don't think there's really a music I won't listen to. If it's good, it's good.
Country?
I'll listen to country. Hank Williams Jr. I liked a lot. I don't like... we say normal country, but then you get really close to some pop rock. So it's like, I can't really say I don't like country because there's sometimes where I'll grab something and be like, oh, that's pretty close to this other thing. Like Linkin Park. Not Linkin Park, sorry. Nickelback. Nickelback has some jammin' tunes as separately from themselves. Like, I get why people are like, oh, they're just Gennaro. There's a couple of their rock songs that are just good rock songs. They're just good rock songs. But when you listen to them, not too far away from good rock and roll country songs. It's like at some point there's a lot of that overlap going on, which makes sense. You and I've talked about this. Timberland does producing for a rock and roll band, then does producing for, there's going to be...
Right.
Over time, they're going to carry the influences everywhere.
I've been on ever since watching that. God, it's so good. I think everyone should watch it. It's the drummer Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
He listens to the 30 Seconds to Mars. I think it's called The Kill for the first time without drums. And usually, I've seen their other videos. Usually, drummers would sit there and write stuff. They write notes and listen to a whole song. This guy just went in there, right? And he played. And ever since then, I've been watching a lot of Chad Smith shit. And
me too.
I saw the thing about him versus Will Ferrell, which was amazing to watch.
Primo, see all the entertainment bitching that I bitch about, all the short changing, all the shorts, the stuff I hate. Then I see a video like Will Ferrell, who looks like him. Those two get behind drums, and Will's good. And
Will's good. Will's
good. And so you see this stuff, and I remember Takedown's a drummer, and like he's fairly proficient as a drummer, and he was like, no, he's actually good. And you see these two show up, and you're like, that is pretty good entertainment, that is actually very enjoyable to watch.
Because everyone always talked about how they look alike, but people would search like, oh, have they actually met? Do they know of each other? Like, they got to know of each other, right? And then having that was just awesome. It's like validation.
You do get that sometimes too, where an actor or musician or two actors even look the same, and you'll bring them up and go, oh my God, like they look like they're brothers or something like that. And you see that a lot of times. I saw it one time. John Romero, especially in his long hair days, the guy from ID. Was it ID at the time? Yeah. He did some stuff, and there was a guy who showed up for an interview with him, and I swear to God, it was on purpose. The guy looked like he dressed up like him. And then I went back and looked everywhere else, and he just, I don't know, maybe he saw him when he was younger and looked up to him. It was like, I'm going to do the long flowing locks and, all the kind of crazy stuff there. Looks like a lot of people have been seeing that. Yeah, some people playing. What games have you guys been playing, by the way? Spider-Man. What else? We got Alan Wake, Spider-Man. What's come out recently?
Yakuza.
Yakuza. Yeah, Yakuza came out, and I didn't hear a lot of people. Hey, Forey says Robert Miles, mentions Robert Miles. Yeah, man, he was awesome. It's sad he died. He was one of the best electric. Like, I just liked all of his music, all of that electric music he did. That was, he was amazing. What else is there?
What games have you been playing? You said you played Red Dead
2 a bunch on the Legion. And then...
Oh, yeah. Does it run well?
Dude, yeah. That is by far my favorite handheld now. Like,
yeah?
it's got... They all have issues. I want to put that out there. There's just no handheld that doesn't have issues.
Yeah,
but once you do a couple of the, you turn on Integer Scale and stuff like that. I was talking to Dinosaur. He got one yesterday, and he was like, "What the? This thing is a PC. Like, this is ridiculous." Yeah. And it is. Like, that thing, it's awesome, man. And when I go on the trip, I was telling my wife, I was like, "There's a good chance I won't talk to anybody."
I do want to ask you about handhelds at some point.
Well, let me look at the stuff. Let's talk about Lethal, and then we'll jump to that in a second. So I want to talk about this. So because people have been pinging it, and I decided to watch it. It's Lethal Company. It's an indie game, and I played a bunch of it yesterday. Have you played it?
I haven't, but dude, it blew the fuck up. It's everywhere. It's on Twitter. It's like rising the Steam ladder. Like it's like what's the other one that like had the same impact with the ghost that you go for, dudes? Phasmophobia. It's like that where it just blew up out of nowhere. Like some streamer, I'm guessing, picked it up, got his streamer friends, and then now everyone on Twitch. It's right, and it's fun as hell to watch. Like I've been seeing a lot of funny, crazy moments and shit, and I still don't know what the game's about.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, it really is rough, and I mean this in the sincerest sense. It's rough. It doesn't even have a settings page. It's rough. Start game, that's it. You're going with what you go with, but it is basically a game that you are working with a team, and you have to land on these planets, these moons, after you identify which one you want to land on, and you have to fulfill a quota for the materials you get. So that's all pretty generic. We've seen that before. It's almost like a survival game, but with a quota. But what works here is, first of all, you have voice chat, which is local, proximity. Right?
Yeah.
But when somebody dies on your team, you'll just hear this muffled, like, oh my God, and it's panic-inducing. You'll be like, what? Where? And the creatures kill you so fast. So, like, I was coming down a corner, I turned to the left, and I saw the guy running in front of me, and all I hear him say, and this is how fast he died, he said, what? He tried to say, what was that? He got, what? And this creature comes out of nowhere and just... And then you can grab their bodies and carry them back to the spaceship, and turn them in. Like, all this kind of, like you said, it's not yet emergent because these systems are built into place. But they've got something really, I don't know what the term would be. They've got something very magical, but it seems a little shallow. My hope is that they get a patch in pretty quick to add some more content, because I don't want streamers to hold it up, if that makes sense. I want gamers to hold it up,
For sure,
but,
yeah.
I go for it.
I gotta talk about a little bit about this proximity voice chat. From the clips I've been seeing, it seems like the reverb and the echoing and all the stuff they did with the voice chat itself is pretty genius, because I saw one of the funniest clips of this dude running away from a spider, and one dude coming, and he's going like, what are you guys so afraid of? What's going on? And then as these guys were running outside, you just hear and then his scream is just like fading, and it's so funny, dude. I love what they did with that stuff, man, with that voice chat.
Yeah, there'll be times where, like, you're running past somebody and they're talking, and you'll hear them go like, "Hey, what do you guys want?" And it'll go off into the background. You'll be like, "Dude, just come with me." But then you're screaming and realize they can't hear you, and that is one. It doesn't really inform you. At least I haven't looked, because we just jumped in. I can't tell if other people can hear me. So sometimes you're like, "Hey, Bob, where are you?" And so everybody's screaming Bob, and you have no clue if they can hear you. So that means you don't want to stop yelling. But at the same time, you're yelling in your mic, and you're like, "Can this person next to me? Are they like, God, I wish, they wouldn't yell." So you have this weird thing, and then you're in the dark. And sometimes you're like, should we not talk? Should we talk? Should we, do we cause them to see us? The creatures are crazy, low animation, just sort of like they just kill you. There isn't even a lot of animation for how they kill you. It's just like, bleh, they sort of collapse on you. but there's different kinds of creatures I've seen in videos. I've only faced about 6, but I got to tell you, I went back to my boat with my first item. And this is the one thing I wish they would fix. There's some cumbersomeness for turning in items. Like, do you drop it on the floor? Do you put it here? And some items, at least from what I've seen, I can't return. And I took it all the way back for no reason. But I was in there trying to figure all this out, and I hear boom, boom. So I go outside and I look up because it sounds like it's above me, and I'm looking up on top of the spaceship because there's a ladder, and I'm like, is somebody jumping? Is this a random? Go back in, boom, boom, boom. I go back out and I look, and as I turn around, I see something flash by my head, and it is basically a T-Rex from space, and it reaches into the ship and grabbed me out. So I don't know how far it can get you, but it just killed me, right? And I'm in there holding my items, looking out the door, and he's just like, boom, and it was on me. There's just no time. When a creature is near you, from what I've been able to tell, it's like instant kill. Yeah, you have to really watch out.
Phasmophobia.
Yeah, I haven't played that, so if that's what it's like, then yeah, and I would say that it looks rough on purpose though, but Absy, it looks too rough, man. It's got the chromatic aberration. It's got like scratches across the screen, and I got to admit there were times where I was like, I get where they're going, but I'd like it a little bit cleaner on the image quality. That would be the only.
Yeah, those games usually they do well and they're funny as hell. But when a lot of the funniness also comes from like seeing those character models with someone there behind the with a voice, with that like moving so like stupidly and saying stupid. Like, have you ever played The Forest in VR?
I have, yeah.
And it looks redonkulously funny because of those the way the player characters
and the way the player
and animated.
Created.
Yeah, which I don't know. Like, I hate saying, like, I'm not gonna say, oh, if it was better, like it would lose its charm or anything. I'm never gonna say that. I don't think it's like a thing to say, but the way it is now isn't like a hindrance, let's say, maybe.
Yeah.
With the way
I believe the same thing. And if you look at the dwarf game where you went down and dug in the ground, as the dwarves,
Deep Rock.
Deep Rock, I see Deep Rock had more stuff going on, and this one, luckily, you have items you can buy and you can go into the store. I do love that you have to type into the computer. So if you want to buy a tool, you don't just go to someplace and buy a tool. You have to type in, like buy flashlight, and then at that point, who knows? Maybe a T-Rex is attacking you. So there's a lot of stuff that we're still discovering. I like what I've seen, but I do worry that it's just going to be that boom. And
that's that's the thing. Like, they should definitely capitalize on that.
I hope
the gazillion fucking amounts of money they're doing right now. Just fucking put it back into your company, make the game better, capitalize.
Some settings would be great, at least from what I can tell. If somebody in chat's
a lot
seen
have
settings,
done
I
that.
haven't.
Like, even I'm pretty sure Among Us did that. Like, they took the money and they made levels and stuff. Phasmophobia definitely did that. So yeah, that would be a great idea,
dude.
For sure.
It's been awesome. I mean, I will say I got my money out of it already. So like, that's the one worry is whether they do that stuff or not. What I already played, I'm like, I think I paid 19 or maybe 9.
Oh, wow, it's like $10 here. No, less. That's like $5.
Is it less? So 9, yeah, 9 or something I paid, and I feel like I got my money worth within the first hour and a half. Sure. It was just a good giggle fest. It wasn't something that would hold my, what do you call it? 40,000?
40,657 user reviews, 98% positive. That is nuts. And considering that only, I think, 1 out of, like, how much percentage of people actually review? I saw a video about that. I think it's like 1 out of 8.
It's probably pretty low. I think for this game it might be higher because it's an Indian people. When they do find something good, they probably,
for sure,
jump on it. But
so let's say
a blast.
Maybe because even Steam concurrent players were up to like 150,000. I saw like a thing. So considering that as well, that's good job. Like, I don't know how many devs did this. Probably not a lot. But that's awesome. That's amazing to see. Damn, 98%, dude.
It's funny because I was looking back on the different videos for this, because I hadn't heard of it, and it really didn't seem to be one person. I don't know if it was the release date or what, but it seems like enough people jumped in, and it's got that quick. The honest truth is, let's just be honest, it is a streamer game. It bodes well for streamers who want to play it, because
100%.
It is that funny, instant good. And I've seen people clip just clips and do videos, and they were well worth watching. Yeah, because they were just funny videos. So when a game gets the fun factor part right, you're just like, all right, then I'll give you guys my $10, and they definitely deserve that. What I would like though is more, because like I actually want to play it more, and so I would like some of the roughness to go away. But I think they'll get that. Jimmy5404, $2. There's a face hugger muffles your proximity chat. Did you see that? So I guess a face hugger like gets on your face, and then when you're yelling, it muffles your proximity.
Dude.
Maybe that's what happened to my guy.
Cool. That's so cool.
Maybe that's what. Yeah, that might have been.
That's so. I'm telling you, man. This work they did with the voice chat and like working around that is awesome, man. It's really good. Yeah.
Let's see. You can buy tools to mitigate. My favorite horror games are all stinkers on the graphic side of thing. Yeah. No,
yeah. Welcome to the Game 2 is like one of my favorites, and it's definitely not like a very pretty game or anything.
Well, let's jump to that then, because I've got this marked up. Well, it's called Average Games.
Okay.
So I'm putting Mad Max on just because it was considered average. But was there any game this year or in the last couple of years that like reviewed what you would consider to be in the 5s to 7s? Those are true averages, by the way, not the 5 to 7 that's going on with Metacritic and stuff. But I mean, a true game that has some issues that you liked, that was a what was it, or what are they?
Atomic Heart, for one.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
it was very average, but I
70s.
thought it was one of the best, coolest games I played. Really stylistic, very unique, and I loved it. And it was around the 7s and 6s and shit.
We think alike, because Atomic Heart was the other video I had, and I chose Mad Max because it's a little older. But Atomic Heart is for sure the game that popped up into my head as like a game that didn't light the world on fire. But RoboCop. Yeah, did you see how RoboCop's the #1 game for Naken or whatever of all time? Yeah. It sold insanely well, and it's
RoboCop
pretty
a lot of people loved, for sure.
B-level, Yeah. And it can't all be 80s kids, right? Like in RoboCop. I mean, the newest movie I know was later, but
probably not. Well, maybe because honestly, what they did, I wouldn't call it fan service. I'd call it what they did with being like a spiritual success, or being very true to the movies. What I've been hearing is that they nailed that aspect of just like being very true to what it was, at least with the RoboCop 1 and 2, and just nailed that. So that's really, really good. So there's that, and there's obviously a lot of RoboCop fans. Actually, are there? It's pretty niche. I think the RoboCop movies were pretty niche, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were big later. I don't know how big they were day one, but that director was pretty big. Everybody in chat, what's your B-level game? I would say that it was probably more popular back then than the remake was now. The remake that came out like 5-10 years. I think it was with the guy from Altered Carbon, and I don't remember that really hitting at all.
There was a RoboCop remake?
I think there was a with Kinnaman. Wasn't it Kinnaman who was RoboCop in this one? I could be wrong on that. I could just be having a fever dream.
I was I remember
I think there was.
I remember when I watched RoboCop, we had like this dude come over to our house every like month or so, and he'd this is before like the internet and downloading movies and stuff. It wasn't before the internet, but it was before like commercial like downloading movies and stuff. And he'd come with this like big ass book of like, he'd flip through and all these like DVDs with like 4 or 5 movies in there, or like RoboCop 1 and 2 and 3 in one CD and shit. And we'd get those and just binge, and that's when I watched all 3 movies.
I think that's how a lot of people experience the B.
Yeah,
those old B movies, because to me, those Total Recall, RoboCop, those originals, I liked the new Total Recall. I mean, not in the same way I like the original, but I was like, hey, that's actually enjoyable. I like
the new
Kate
one.
Beckinsale. Like, I'm like, hey, I'll watch a movie with her in it. Colin Farrell wasn't bad, so I was like, hey, I'll check this out. But the originals, are sort of the magic. I think with this one, man, I mean, it is a true average game, but it took the world. But I mean, Mad Max did really well later on too, and Atomic Heart did insanely well. So it's like the B-level games still do well.
Mad Max, for me, from what I see online a lot, sits in the same, like, there's a couple games, like Control is one, Prey, Mad Max, and a couple others where, they didn't do that well at launch, but whenever you see any mention of them, they're like, it's like one of the best games. I love that game. It's so underrated. Like, every single person who plays it, no one was like, oh, man, you know what I mean? Everyone lives by those games.
I think I've met my first meh on Control in like the last 3 weeks. Somebody in Discord was like, "Meh, control," and I was like, "Whoa,
Really?
yeah." It wasn't a hot take. It was just like, it didn't work, and I was like, "Whoa, I don't
Interesting.
think I've heard somebody say." I mean, I'm sure somebody. We got a lot of people in chat, and I never said, "Hey, everybody, what do you think of control?" in the Discord. But still, I was quite surprised to hear that because you're right. You mostly hear, "Hey, this is somebody's here." Hang on 1 second. Continue talking about Well, first of all, did you see the Atomic Heart DLC? Did you see the new DLC for that?
I saw it. I didn't try it. What do you guys think? Did you guys like Atomic Heart? Talk with me, chat. Fill in the void with me. Control sold 3 million copies. Is that good? I think that's good. I don't know if that's good or not in today's day and age. Mad Max is excellent. See, another guy that loves Mad Max. Same with Days Gone. Yeah, Days Gone, a lot of people do love Days Gone, but some people don't really like it that much because they don't gel with the story or the character or whatever. I like the gameplay a lot.
Or they're like me, where they hold where the technical issues were so big that it's hard to return to it, where you're just like, I'm not going to. Hang on just 1 second. We got a sick dog. We're trying to get him to the vet.
Take your time, man. Take your time. I'll just talk.
You taking off then? Okay. Sorry, there's a weird dog illness in Oregon that's like going crazy with all these dogs, and we thought ours was fine, but they want to get him in for an x-ray just in case. Yeah, it's like a respiratory thing they can't track down, but it's like all over the news and alerts and stuff. We thought it was just pneumonia. But I could not get into Atomic Heart. Jimmy5404 says, ended up dropping it for a new release after 3 hours. Hey, you gave it 3 hours. That's not bad, right? A lot of times when he gave Atomic Heart 3 hours, a lot of times you'll hear people give a game like only, half an hour, like 3 hours.
Yeah, no, 3 hours for Atomic Heart, especially because 3 hours in, you'd know if you'd like it or not. I knew if I liked it in the first like 30 minutes because of that intro. And I was like, already, I'm in. I'm fucking in.
I had issues with, some things with Atomic Heart, but the weird, unique environment just grabbed me.
I just love like what this weird, crazy shit. It's like they combined like, this some Prey, some Fallout, some BioShock, all in one package. And I was like, I'm digging this, dude. I'm like on the car, amazing music, really dope Russian themed with like electronic music, and I'm just like flying in the sky and really cool. Like the narrator thing is talking to me, and dude, shit was just hitting. Yeah.
That opening. That's like infinite when a little bit later in the game, but when that opens and you're in the car and you're going through the clouds, I was just like, what in the shit are we witnessing right now? I thought it was awesome. Despite issues with control, it was sort of B, almost double A, or almost I guess it was double A, almost triple A, but it was definitely a game that you could consider to be in that average level. Marco, $2 super chat, $2.79. He says, pick one: AC Odyssey, Weird West, or South Park.
Wow, that's a weird. Let's go with. Oh fuck, I'll say Weird West. Fuck it.
I don't know.
If I had
Does it just means like if you let's just make something up? So like you have to pick one for the rest of your life or something. So.
Oh, I thought it was like. If you had a choice between three, no, actually, you're right. If it's like for the rest of if it's like for a long time in a desert island, probably Odyssey because it has the most content.
That's exactly where I was going. Like I loved South Park, but I never played it again. But it was a great, experience. And Weird West was also great. You could play Weird West a second, maybe third time and have no real issues, but it would be Odyssey for me. Gathry's Galaxy, member for 1 month. Thank you very much for being a YouTube member. Outriders is the most mid game that I still play all the time that generally gets a lot of hate. That is almost a hot take. That is a very warm take. Also $5 super chat. Thanks. Yeah, that is, man, I don't know. I would almost say that's not even mid, but it's still going. Well, I think I didn't like it. I thought Outriders had a tremendous number of very real problems.
I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum or whatever.
No, either might. That's why I was.
But for me, it combines everything I don't like about live service games into one game.
Into one thing.
Into one thing. So I was like, it's not my thing.
I just remember the loading screens and the fake loading screens for jumping things, and I was like, but that's why I asked, because it is considered mid. Sure. I don't think it scored 50s. If I'm talking about occasionally, I'm sure it did.
Fade in. Yeah,
dude. one of those things, whenever anybody mentions service games, Division never pops up in my head, even though it's a service game, because it's good. But the ones that do pop up into my head are games like
Destiny.
that, where it's those load, or you turn it off and suddenly the world goes away, but there isn't a reason. Like Division makes a little sense, I guess. I still think Division should be able to be played with no internet. Single player,
so
what I mean? Like,
I think so too. I don't think there's any reason for you to remain online in Division. I can't think of a reason.
Yeah,
imagine modding.
It feels. Oh my god.
Yeah,
modding it,
oof.
Dude. You could do some crazy shit. Andrew Vega, $5 super chat. Can I get thoughts on Cyberpunk PL's changing the ending to the original game? New ending destroyed me, and I've been dying to know your thoughts.
Oh, can we talk about that, or is that spoiler territory?
I mean, we can. I will say that anything that changes the original game's ending bothers me. If you get my drift,
it doesn't. It provides a new provides a new ending.
And there's one extra ending, but it also does.
Yeah.
It depends on what ending you get, I guess.
The ending is cool for a lot of reasons, but I was very uncomfortable with it. But it's cool for stuff. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Because
what about you guys in chat? Ignoring, Phantom Liberty's ending, is there any ending that gutted you in a video game? Please don't spoil it for people. I mean, even if it's an old game like Mass Effect 3 or something like that, don't spoil it. But what's a game that the ending gutted you for good or bad reasons? Either good, because you liked it, or bad because it killed the desire to leap in.
Mass Effect 3, obviously.
Mass Effect 3 did, yeah. It's the only game I've ever...
ending that killed me. I mean, the Phantom Liberty one was definitely
really.
I don't want to say anymore. It was very. How do I say this?
Work for you.
No. I'm not saying it's a bad. Like it's a good ending for sure. But it hit me in the feels.
Oh, that's not how you're coming across. I don't think anybody realized you came across as you definitely came across as not liking the ending. Yeah.
No. I think it's cool. I think it's really dope for a lot of reasons. But there's these types of endings where it's like that. If you catch my drift, make me very uncomfortable. Where I'm like, it makes me a little bit depressed because it's like, you know what I'm saying.
No,
I don't want to say anymore.
I get you
because it's very spoiler. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, Red Dead 1. Somebody mentioned that. I would say this is going to sound weird unless you played it, but Jade Empire for me. The stuff you find, it's BioWare. They did a pretty good job. They did the ending where you see one guy and you think he's the bad guy, and then you realize that's not really the bad guy we thought he was. It's actually this other person, and then you realize he is the bad guy. He's done terrible stuff, and you do terrible stuff to him. But at the same time, they do a good job of telling his story. And I'm not a big fan of the bad guy has reasons. I normally hate that. But if it's done well, then it's awesome. And that game was one of the few where I felt that the ending, I was like, oh. A lot of people are saying Mafia 2. I got to admit, don't spoil it for people, please. But I don't remember Mafia 2's ending.
I never played Mafia 2, but Mafia 1 I played, and it had a really cool ending.
But I think Mafias are those kind of games, right? The darker, the noir, where things don't...
Sure.
L.A. noir,
Every made man.
Yeah. Where you just know Sopranos. You're like, I know how this is probably going to end for 8 Sons of Anarchy. It's, I mean, by the end, you're like, I sort of saw that coming.
Dude, Yakuza 0 ending was one of my favorite endings, and it gutted. Like, there's a part of it where it's like the relationship between Majima and what's her name, the blind girl that was blind. That just guts you, man. It's just right in the feels, and how this other doctor guy wants to marry her and stuff. And then they continue it in Kiwami 2 with the Majima story, and the ending of that just fucking
work together.
It hits. Yeah.
Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Is there any game you could care less about the story, but you enjoy the gameplay? Persona 5 Tactics for him.
Okay, it's a good one.
Division.
Neo.
Neo.
Remnant.
Well, wait a minute. Neo Remnant is what you mean.
Remnant and Neo. Neo. I just skipped cutscenes.
What's number
Neo
one
2?
subtitle? Neo. There's Neo. There's Neo.
No, not near. Not near. Oh
not
my god.
Because that's why I was thinking, going, what's he talking about right now? Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
Nier
got
is like the story is like the best part. No, Neo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neo.
Neo. I got you now. Because I was sitting there going, why have we not talked about this before? Because I was like, I don't see where he's going with this. I feel like we should celebrate new and the first time game makers rather than celebrate sequels because they had time and money to improve on their design second time around. Your opinion? I mean, some of these sequels aren't by the same companies. I don't have any issues with sequels. I'm done. Not saying your question is bad, but I'm sort of done with that argument because some sequels have turned out to be so good that I'm like, whatever. And we get so many games now that, and we get new IPs. Atomic Heart, for all its issues, is this Russian weird, like weird mythology. It's almost like Stalker, I guess. You know, they have that dark feel to the Russian games. They're like,
for sure.
They're like their own noir. In a weird way. Like they have that dark, like sort of things are sad. You go around in Stalker and everybody's moping around and it's got its own thing. So that's not or I'm excited for Stalker
Russians
too.
love their post-apocalyptic stuff.
They do. And their Chernobyl stuff, right? They've had a disaster
Chernobyl
that's
stuff.
so
Ukraine,
major that
Russia.
it's just in their brain. Ukraine, yeah. I should have said that. They've got the disaster stuck in their brain forever. You know, these major disasters that they like that are right there in their backyard.
Chernobylite. Yeah.
Hush Al Ghul, if we're talking about endings that left an impression, it was Bioshock Infinite. $5 super chat. Yeah, Infinite.
Oh God,
Bioshock,
that was a
every
mindfuck
game
ending.
It was, but I think all the Infinite. I think even without Ken, Bioshock has done well. Bioshock 2's ending was good, and that wasn't Ken, right?
No, but I loved Bioshock 2 and even its ending because it gave us more lore about like the big daddies, big brothers. But yeah, one's ending as well. What would you kindly? That was such a cool revelation. I love those revelations like at the end of games. Really cool.
Let's go with
like,
hot takes.
Oh, and then you want to play the game again to see like every time. Yeah.
Let's hot takes.
Yeah.
Bioshock 1 versus Infinite.
1. Because Infinite, I loved Infinite, but it was more actiony shootery, which was awesome and fun. But 1 had this like cool vibe, you know what I mean? Like cool dark vibe that I liked.
And I liked 1, but I got tired of the underground. I mean, it is underground, so I want to make sure I'm not an idiot. Underwater, yeah, but I got tired of the subterranean stuff after a while. Where Infinite, there was so many weird combat encounters. And Elizabeth throwing the shit to you was just such a great moment when your AI helps you. I was just like, oh,
she was one of the best companions. She didn't get in the way. She
really
just gave you
was, man. Yeah. It felt, wasn't it Atomic Heart where you can suck up items like a Hoover? Yeah. Those steps do so. Yes, it's not realistic, and I love realistic. I like Aloy and Horizon picking shit up, but also in Atomic Heart, you're just like, you're like Magneto, just give me everything, and that was sweet. But yeah, I think I liked Infinite better as a gameplay device.
My favorite part of Infinite was the DLC, like playing 1, 2, 3
Under the
Infinite
Way?
And where it connects Infinite to it connects it to 1.
What was it called?
It was amazing, dude.
It was good.
I don't know.
It was one of the few DLCs I played,
dude.
but yeah, Infinite's DLC was good.
So good, especially episode 2. Oh. So good, dude.
Dude, Ken is you hear Chris Avalon and stuff like that, and I get it. And Chris has done great work on a lot of games, but I gotta say, I think Ken's the only one that every single thing he's made, I've liked.
What has he made outside of BioShock?
He wrote it wasn't Thief. He helped with, let me look real quick. He helped with something else that I was actually He helped with something else that I was actually surprised about. And I think he might have even just talked about it on the podcast. Freedom Force.
Oh, Freedom Force.
That's what it was. And System Shock 2.
Force.
System Shock 2, he's lead design and writer. And that's my favorite system. Dude, his resume is like, hey, have you ever heard of Success? Well, I'm going to show you on my wiki.
Dude, Freedom fucking Force,
Thief,
dude.
One of the best games ever made. Thief. System Shock 2, Freedom Force, Tribes Vengeance, another fun. I know a lot of people haven't played Tribes. Tribes is amazing. Freedom Force, The Third Reich, SWAT 4, Bioshock Infinite, Bioshock Burial at Sea. Burial at Sea is your DLC.
Burial at Sea, okay.
Yeah.
Burial at Sea, that's the DLC.
Ken isn't the most prolific, but it's like, it's just like you look at their wiki and you're like, God damn, man. Like that dude knows how to pull success.
Dude, do you remember you played Freedom Force, right?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember like just creating your own fucking things? You could create your own like villains and superheroes and create your own like battles and shit and place. I remember like a little bit of
Oh, was
that,
that the
dude. It was
editor,
just
maybe?
such a long time. The
Gotcha.
editor
Because
was
I
so
didn't
good
mess
in that
around
game.
with that as much as just, to me, it was like, I'm not a superhero fan, but finally I could understand it because it was D&D style statistics.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you give them superpowers and you're just like, oh, okay, this is, and the dumb, what was it? I can't remember the guy, that Colonel whatever, but he's got
With the
the
X.
tin horn hat on. And
Oh,
like,
that.
oh
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
guys that are just like, why is this guy's the most generic superhero? It's almost like the Boys ripoff. Some dude on the
Yeah.
Boys who's like, good guy, and that's his name, and that's who you were
Right.
in that game. It was great. SWAT 4, Judas looks freaking good. Yeah, Judas looks awesome.
Yeah,
The
I
game
can't wait
from
to see more of that.
Microsoft is the one that I can't wait to see. The time changing one that looks like
Yeah,
BioShock.
in
Oh,
Exile, dude.
and
In
Exile.
Exile. Did you hear about the shit
Damn,
they're doing with that?
I did.
Dude,
Fargo
it's
did an interview.
yeah, it's not just like you use time as a like a mechanic. That's for the narrative
Yep.
choices and shit. Dude,
Yep.
imagine like using time for investigations and stuff and making choices and going on loops and stuff. It's very Lost, like Desmond's story and Lost type shit, where it's like, oh man, yeah, I can't wait to see what
You
they
and
cook with
fucking
that.
Desmond, man. You and Desmond need to get a room.
No, dude,
You're
because
not
he's
the only
been
guy who likes
looping.
Desmond, though.
I'm in the season where and Lost where Desmond keeps looping and seeing how a certain person keeps dying over and over, but saving him in different ways.
Oh,
Right?
gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
So,
I know.
yeah,
Clockwork Revolution. Thanks, guys.
Clockwork
What
Evolution.
for future games that, let's say, haven't really been discussed a bunch, everybody in chat, what's one you're looking forward to? So what I mean is like Clockwork Revolution, where there's not a ton of data, versus, let's say, Stalker 2 would be a good one because we know, but we haven't got a ton of data about it. Yeah, man. I mean, dude, I wish Ken, well, all the luck in what he's doing now with Judas, but one of these days, I imagine that guy getting a real budget. And maybe it's bad. Maybe it's like we joked about Kojima. He turned out well with Death Stranding, but I don't know if you remember when he left, people were like, I don't know, he may need an editor. He may need some, and he obviously didn't.
Does.
Death Stranding, he may, but Death Stranding did incredibly well. It's like, I would love to see Ken with a ton of money. I don't know what he'd do. Maybe he'd be terrible.
But there were moments in Death Stranding where I wish someone was like, "All right, chill, dude." You know what I mean? Like the Mario and Princess Peach, like chill, dude. You gotta chill, dude.
Yeah, but Hush Al Ghul, yeah. So I got to yours, super chats. Now we got to get to another chat, or another discussion, which is we were asked by a patron, what is the best DLC support we've ever seen for a game, or one that sticks with you? And anybody in chat, best DLC support. Mine is for sure Dying Light.
Okay, yeah, for sure. That's a good one. Do you mean DLC support in the sense that there's a lot of paid for expansions, or do you mean DLC
paid
support?
And it can be awesome
Quantity
paid
or
for.
Quality or
whatever you want. He just said best post-release DLC support. So I'm just going with it as a wide genre of support.
So best DLC support to me is different than my favorite DLC, for example. So what I think has the best DLC, let's call it DLC support, already, would probably be No Man's Sky.
Exactly. I knew
with just the amount of
ridiculous
free shit. Yeah, they just keep giving you over and over again in such a short amount of time. Yeah, it has to go back. But like favorite DLC overall, I'd have to go with, I mean, Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone is a really good one for me personally. Prey Moon Crash is another really, really good one for me. Those two are like my favorite. Among my favorite.
Blood and Wine, somebody, Jetser says, you said Hearts of Stone.
I like Hearts of Stone way more. Blood and Wine is more content and it's like a new region and stuff, but Hearts of Stone, the story for it just like, and the villain and stuff just clicked with me a lot more. Clicked with me a lot. Yeah,
because those are the ones I haven't done the DLC. Witcher is such a monolithic title that like once I got done with it, it was a little like Baldur's Gate. I'm like, hey, I'm happy with what I got, and I sort of moved on. Sure. I wish I had done the DLC, and maybe I'll take some time to do it because those two are pretty interchangeable for a lot of people.
You know what's funny about like choices and replayability in that game is that I've replayed that game I think 3 or 4 times, and like since like 2015 to like 2020 or something. And every single time, Karak, I kid you not, I choose the exact same choices. I never deviate.
Yeah.
I never try another choice just to see what happens. No, I want to play it one way. This is how I think Geralt will react to whatever. This is how my Geralt reacts every single time. Yeah.
I mean, I can see that, just being honest, I can see that with Witcher in particular, because there's certain things that not only would he do, but like, I would say there are times where they pretend it's a moral choice, where I'm like, that's not really too moral of a choice. I can pretty much pick the best of those. There were times,
Yeah, like don't be
Witcher,
a dick
but,
to
yeah,
Siri. Like
there's some times where you're just like, unless I'm just being that's when a game does it well, is when it's not being a dick. It's like two sides furthering both sides, and
Vampire.
you're like, oh yeah, Vampire's ridiculous. You know, I was
Phenomenal
talking to Game On, and he was jumping into chat last week, and then he pinged me and sent me a little picture of him buying Vampire. He's like, okay, you guys will not shut up about it. And I'm like, remember, combat's not the most amazing, but Vampire's choices are ones. What I like about Vampire is sometimes you don't even know that you've made a choice, and then somebody will randomly say something, and I remember that cold shiver down my back when somebody said something. I was like, and you feel like all the eyes, like you said something wrong in a room, you know, where you drop something that you're not supposed to drop, and everybody looks at you. And I remember it's the only game, Vampire's the only game that ever made me stop and go, I got to be reading this wrong. There's no way that that's who I think it is that they're talking about, and it was. And man, they did
Vampire
such a good job.
is the only game that had me literally quit and sleep on a choice.
Oh,
like
wow.
24 hours until I went back with a fresh mind. And I was like, okay. And I consulted people, consulted friends, consulted family. I was like, so if I got
what should I do here?
For example, this child's father, he has a dead wife, and I found a note that said that his dead wife cheated on him when she was alive, and the son is actually not his, but he's been taking care of him. Should I tell him that his wife cheated on him and that his son isn't his? Like, what would you do, dude? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
It's such a difficult moral dilemma. Or like, would you tell the mother of a child that her child is depressed and wants to commit suicide? Like, is it your place? Like, fuck off. So,
that's the guy I killed, by the way.
Places, dude. Yeah.
That's the son I killed. I killed him.
Oh, that's...
And his wife, his mom was like, I'm looking for my son, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go find him. And then she kept talking. I'm like,
but he wanted
I just
to die,
ate
right?
that dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just ate him. And I don't even know if I cared about him wanting to die. I just ate him. And like, I'm sitting there, blood on my face probably. And she's like talking about finding her son. And all of a sudden I was like, are you shitting me? That's the dude I just... And it was that perfect, you know, the same person could have played that 10 times and not had the same series of events I had. Sure. It was like that unfortunate series of events where but it was fortunate because when it came together, it was the best story moment I'd had in years. Where I was just like, I remember just turning it off, and there was I don't remember if I was talking to Cadiz or maybe even you guys, because that came out when I was doing reviews, but I just remember being like, yes, that's exactly what... I know that everybody likes some of these other games, but I'll see the ending and be like, that didn't really hit me. But in Vampire, things hit me because they weren't the ending. It wasn't a crescendo of violence to this last boss. It was a random moment of somebody's weakness that I took advantage of, and then somebody else's weakness, and then like that moment where you're like, I'm the bad guy right now. Like, I'm legitimately the bad guy.
See, that's why I hope they keep it up for Banishers, dude. I hope they keep that same.
Banisher's delay was great. I hope they do as well, because the story chops at minimum are the same style of story chops. People in here are talking about Dying Light. I did want to point out Dying Light's DLC. They got For Honor coming, which is a crazy crossover with the For Honor characters coming over and becoming like semi-bosses in Dying Light 2. I did the Halloween event in Dying Light 2. Totally new enemies. Jack-o'-lantern dudes with their heads on fire. And I was just like, what am I... Because I didn't know... I knew it was Halloween. I didn't know they had an event. I just popped in because I was streaming it. And Dying Light 1 and 2, I mean, ignoring the following, which was paid for, all their free stuff, those guys, I don't know, they need to run a financial GDC and tell other companies how they're doing it. Because somehow those guys nail DLC for years, and they sell well continually. They have really good DLC, and somehow they continue to support it. And I would love to see other companies, sort of nail that. Somebody said Dark Arisen from Dragon's Dogma. That is a very good one. Shepard's hilarious as a Renegade playthrough. He is. He's awesome. Let's see. No Man's Sky VR mode on PlayStation 2. I think you mean PlayStation VR 2. Yeah. ridiculous for sure. Very good. Probably won't win, but No Man's Sky should win for best ongoing support. Yeah, No Man's Sky should win, right? Like for best for the Game Awards, best ongoing
yeah,
support.
I think so. Definitely not Destiny 2, right? Or no, that one got nominated for community support.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so weird that Cyberpunk got nominated for ongoing support. That, like, when I think of ongoing, Cyberpunk is an ongoing thing. It's
not
right?
a thing.
That's weird.
Sorry. Yeah, it's not a thing for me at least.
That's weird.
All right, so next up, I do want to talk about this Bully. So there was a data mine of GTA stuff, or one of the, maybe it was a trailer, I can't remember, because I'm not too worried about how they got it, but they data mined it, and Bully 2 came up in this data mine. And so people were all up in arms, you know, oh, Bully 2 is going to come out and stuff like that. And while I can't wait for it, my question is, do you think there is a Bully 2? Like, do you think right now there's a... No?
No.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there is, dude, because
I wish.
They worked on it a couple of years ago, and then it's like Jade Empire, where they also worked on a sequel, and then they sort of pulled back and were like, this isn't working for us. I want a Bully 2, man. But
I want a Bully 2 so badly, but so you think they are working on one?
I think they did, but I mean, I would love to be wrong, but I think Bully, what they would want to do would require a big team, and they got their big teams working on stuff. And when I look at what they want to do and how big games are right now, because they're not going to want to do a Bully 2, the sequeling. They're going to want to do Bully 2, and I think that their idea of Bully 2 would still be bigger, even if it was just a town, all that kind of stuff.
I do want them to do, like, remember they used to do like Alien War, Bully. They had these side games. Like, I love GTA, I love Red Dead, but I do want to see more other stuff, other Rockstar shit.
Me too. Yeah. I would love, I mean, and Bully is one of my favorites of all time. It would be, if you took Shameless, the TV show, and made a Bully game out of it, it would probably do gangbusters, because Shameless shows kids in school selling drugs out of toilets. It would be a different thought process than the original Bully, which was like nostalgia and being a young kid at a private school. But I don't know. I can just say I absolutely hope. Everybody knows it was worked on at one point, but then it sort of died out. I want it to be a thing, because Bully's one of my favorites, if not, I mean, it's up there. It's certainly above GTA 5. It's
I had such fond memories with that game, dude.
Above Red Dead 2. It's probably Red Dead 1, Bully, and then LA Noire and GTA and Red Dead 2 all in a line. Yeah, dude, Bully was so sexy, man.
And if people are worried about like high school, college student shit, whatever, just look at Japan and the whole industry in Japan, and the Persona and games, and some people give them like a pass, but not Western devs.
Yeah, not Western devs. Exactly. They need to hire a Japanese dev to do it, so that the Japanese dev can be like, here's the weird shit a Western
Rockstar
dev probably would.
We can have pedo content now,
I mean, some
this is Japanese
when
pedo.
When you look at like Yakuza, the stuff they have, even and I love it, by the way. I think I have no issue with it. I want that in games, because it's a game. It doesn't have to replicate everything, but those guys get away with it, and you get the occasional person who tries to make a scene, but it just seems like Japanese devs are across the water, and they're just like,
well, we can have teachers fucking students and shit, no problem.
I mean, even Lost Judgment and what was the other one? Judgment and Lost Judgment?
Beating up high school kids,
It was the greatest moment of my life, dude. I was just like dropping the elbow. It's like, am I a 37-year-old man beating up kids? Absolutely. It was awesome.
Dude. Oh yeah, let me kill children and Fallout.
Cedric, I think that's how you pronounce your name. If I'm wrong, I apologize. He says unrelated, Sleeping Dogs needs a sequel. Yeah, Sleeping Dogs would be great to see a sequel.
Sleeping Dogs is something that came
True
and
Crime
was
3,
huge,
basically.
had huge actors and just went.
Dude, it had Amazing Spider-Man, Gwen, the girl who played Gwen and Spider. It had so many big
Crazy
actors.
Stupid Love.
Yeah. It was phenomenal to see that, and I would love to see it, but I don't think. As far as I remember, somebody did an interview or whatever, and I think that IP is a little messy too, because remember it was going to be True Crime 3, then it became Sleeping Dogs.
Is it like the same devs?
It was the same
Wow.
groups of people. There was something about the IP. It was either the same groups of
Sure.
devs or they wanted to make 3, and then they were like, okay, that's not going to work. Let's just do
I want
Sleeping
to play
Dogs.
that. I have a urge to play that game then. For some reason, I
Have you played it?
I played a lot of it. I never actually like beat the game, so maybe I. Because
Big
I've
problem
been,
with
dude.
Sleeping
I've been
Dogs
in
is the city ain't great.
like I've been in this. Do you ever get these? Like I have this. I'm in a time period where I've been playing like every new game coming out. I've been playing and beating every new game, and now there's no new games where I'm like, I'm bouncing around and I want to stick to something and nothing. I'm sticking to nothing. I tried to, play through the Batman Arkham games and I was like, I played a little bit and then I stopped. I played a little bit of Remnant 2 is the thing I'm playing with a friend, but I played a little bit of like just random shit I've been playing and trying to get into something. So maybe Sleeping Dogs is the answer. It's just hard for me to get into older
Bully's
games.
got that remastered version, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bully
maybe I
is
do that,
great
huh?
because it's
And
a
LA Noire I never
bite-sized.
beat.
It's LA
Yeah.
Noire is well worth. Bully and LA
Yeah.
Noire are worth playing through as an experience just to be like, I did them, and I sort
Sure.
of understand like why people. Or if you don't like it, it would be interesting to know.
Oh,
If you didn't
but
like
Bully,
the ending
I
of LA Noire or
definitely
something.
yeah.
Oh, did
But
you
I
beat
would love
Bully
to play
originally?
again. Yeah, I was a kid though. I was very young, but I would love to play again for sure.
Dude, you had to have been because Bully was
PS2.
PlayStation 2, and I didn't even own
Yeah.
it for years until that game came out, and a friend brought it over to show me that, and I was just like, this is...
I owned an Xbox, not a PS2.
So did I for the longest time.
Yeah, I played it at my cousin's house. Yeah.
Kingdom Come Deliverance is also
Yes,
a good game
please.
with DLC.
I think they are working on 2.
Oh, they're working on 2 as well, but I did want to point out their DLC is actually pretty fantastic. They
For
have some
sure.
big spots of DLC that they've done a great job with. But you are right, 2 would be awesome.
Man. There's nothing like Kingdom Come. Like there's nothing like it.
No,
It's a one of a kind.
it is a weird game that could have been horrible, by the way.
For sure.
When you play Kingdom Come Deliverance, there are frustration times, and we all know what I'm going to bring up, but it's like even the first part trying to get out of town and the guys are killing. Yeah, and you're just like,
and they're
what?
shooting arrows at you.
Yeah, and you can't, and it's hard to control at first because they wanted you to do something different than we've ever done before. It could have really failed. It could have really failed, and instead they got everything just tight enough. The save games was a potion, right? Wasn't the save game like a potion?
Yeah, save your schnapps. I just one of my favorite things about that game is you start off as a dipshit peasant, low life. Yeah. No one gives a fuck about you. You suck. Not only does your character suck and doesn't do damage, but you suck because it's a new type of game and you don't know how to control him and you don't know how to play and just slowly you train and you work hard and then you become a god. And
the first time you take somebody out, despite all the issues, like the first time you take somebody out that you feel like you couldn't have taken out at the starting, or you fight somebody a knight or something, you take them out, you're like, yeah, man, you got better. And Henry, isn't that his name? Henry. Yeah, and Henry got better.
I could never forget that name because everyone will start yelling your name by the end of the game, where everyone knows who you are and loves you, and you're the god of everybody, and everybody's savior. If you play your cards right and do the your choices and shit. But dude, that game had like Witcher level, like some of the best side quests as well, like and character writing where you think the one character where you think you're gonna hate the living shit out of that character, and he ends up being your best friend and you love him to death and you'd die for him. It's a really cool game.
That was one of the first games, if not the first, I did a walk in the walk for, because they did a Kickstarter, I believe, and they were showing the tech of of walking around. And I remember just walking around going, oh my god, this game looks so many generations past everything. It did take a while to come out, but still, like, their tech looks good. You go through the forest and you're like, this game looks really good. I mean, it was a bit clunky, but overall, I really did.
And it was a crisis for its time as well. Like it was hard to run for sure.
It was a crisis for its time. Yeah, it definitely was a chunky bitch trying to get it to run well. But now, it runs on everything. Also, while we were talking, they South Park Snow Day did a gameplay trailer. I'm actually really interested in that because I love South Park. So. It's that 3D.
Is that turn-based?
It's a 3D. All I know, because I'm not watching the trailer where we're talking, I know in the trailer that they originally showed it's a 3D game versus the 2D
and
cartoon
South
thing.
Park, the cartoon isn't 3D. How are they gonna? What?
I don't know.
They're gonna
Anybody in chat?
make.
Because I'm not going to play the trailer. Am I correct on that? Or the gameplay trailer? Go ahead.
So they're making a. Well, I guess they did that with Simpsons, where Simpsons is a cartoon, and
Yeah.
they did like Hit and Run and shit. Hit and Run was an awesome game.
Yeah, Hit and Run was awesome, man. Hit and Run.
Well,
Sometimes you get those ones that feel like they're nothing more than a, like an
speaking
IP
of too
grab.
many sequels, yeah, like that game did so well. Why haven't they done a sequel for it?
I think
Like,
the developers, I saw an article where the developers just recently talked on a podcast and they were saying that they don't even know why somebody hasn't done a sequel. I think Simpsons is nowhere near as popular as it was, though. Simpsons is still popular, but it's not,
even South Park is gonna like lower. Like Rick and Morty is more popular. I feel like maybe Family Guy a little bit, but Family Guy also started to like wane off.
We were in voice chat yesterday, the day before, and because different ages, this person was like 15 years younger than me, and the cartoons he was talking about I had not even heard of, and they're like #1 cartoons right now. So it just goes to show you that like Simpsons could have, gone the way of the dodo, and we're just not aware of it. I would love to see a new one, and maybe it'd bring back a resurgence for it, but maybe some people don't like it. ACG, the developers who made Hit and Run made Scarface. That's good because I love Scarface. So,
is it the one Scarface where you can have like a whole empire of trading cocaine and shit?
That game was ahead of its time. That's sort of what I want from GTA, by the way. And whenever I'm talking
Running
about like
an empire.
Something, where the systems are in place to I don't want it to be too simmy.
Make a gang like Saints Row or something.
Yeah, but a good one.
Yeah, of course.
That new Saints Row.
No, we're not talking about. When I say Saints Row, I'm talking about the real Saints Row.
What's
the one
the
that actually
last real
had
Saints Row?
Real black people and shit, and real stuff. You know what I mean? Not like everything fucking mellowed out.
What's the last real Saints Row to you? Would you say 3?
Oh, I think 4 is still like 4 is out there, but it's still like it still retained that like style and not everyone's like whitewashed to shit. You know what I mean? Dude. Okay, the new Saints Row, they're trying to be like very PC, but they came off as racist to me. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Okay, nobody has culture in that game. Nobody has anything.
Yeah, I mean, and you can do that, right? When you want to remove everybody's and you just want to sort of say these people are your everyday people. The fact is that nobody I know is everyday. Like they're in real life, nobody's everyday, and most game characters aren't everyday. That's the fun of it, is that they're. For example, I know people probably look at GTA, and I think I remember seeing this where people were mad about GTA 5. Was it Lincoln or Franklin? I always get them mixed up. Mafia 3. So people were mad about his, dropping certain words and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, man, like they're just showing you this character.
Talk, dude.
That's how that particular character talked. And to me, I like having the introduction of that kind of stuff. It's not like I'm threatened by it. It's like this is the way this person is going to talk in this. And by the way, it's funny to me, or a little bothersome. The people were bothered by that, but they allow Trevor to like bust in people's heads and stomp their brains out. And you don't hear anybody. That's the shit that's weird right now. By the way, I don't want people to bitch about that. I do not want people to bitch about that because I like that violence. But you see people talking about this and you're like, you do realize that the character you just were murdered somebody in the center of like a trailer park, hammered them to death. Like, what exactly are we really stressed out about? Soulskeeper, $12 super chat. Gents, thanks for the excellent chitter chat on Wednesday. Quick one. Fast travel's removed from all games ever released. Which game now takes the longest to complete? Cheers, Stefan. So which game would be the longest if you didn't have fast travel? No Man's Sky, but let's not.
Oh God! Oh geez.
Let's pretend we're talking about. Right.
No, I don't use fast travel in games. Like even Skyrim, I use the carriages.
Carriages.
Are carriages fast travel? Or would you not consider
because carriages you can also skip. You can ride them, or you can hit the button and do the skip of some kind. But they're fast travel. Yeah, just say all travel. Let's say horses even, because that's speedier travel.
Oh God!
And a lot of
like
games
Spider-Man, but you can't use your slinging.
See, that's him. That's not an additional. Right, you buy a horse and get on it, but Spider-Man swings that way. But like, what would be the longest game
without any traversal outside of running?
Outside of their own abilities.
Okay. Fucking, it's got to be Assassin's
Daggerfall.
Creed, right? Like, imagine walking everywhere or running everywhere in
I would
Valhalla.
Valhalla would be huge, but I think Daggerfall beats it by a good amount because Daggerfall was that procedural world that they use procedural generation
Isn't
to
that just
create it.
never ending?
It's not never ending, no, but
Oh, okay,
it's
okay.
like 56 billion square miles. It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, it's
Yeah,
got to be up there. It's got to be up there. But I don't know technically versus like prototype. Prototype? No, prototype.
like Tony Hawk without a skateboard. No,
BMX without the BMX. This is just a
without
shit
the
game,
bike.
man. Why would I play
Fucking
it?
Forza without any cars.
Dr. Skotsky says I was shocked when I decided to play Mafia 3 this year that it has no fast travel. Oh yeah, that has. Have you ever played a game where you do expect fast travel and it's like there isn't a lot, or there isn't like or it
Maybe Dragon's
unlocks
Dogma.
later? Dragon's Dogma.
Dragon's Dogma got a
Yeah.
lot of shit for it because you
It
have
did.
to run through
I loved
big
it.
open spaces.
I
But
loved it.
yeah,
Screw you
see,
guys who
I'm
like
like,
fast travel in that game.
yeah, like even Red Dead and stuff. Like I like those games. I just don't like fast traveling, and it just once I start fast traveling, that's it. Like it takes away something for me.
Yeah.
Where you know what I mean? Takes away something from the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
dude, the idea of like walking around is my favorite part. Why I like
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma was, traveling through and knowing that it was going to require resources to get to a certain spot in healing or potion, and you had to prepare for it. And
Sure.
a lot of times they do the, what is it called, like free travel where you don't get attacked. Freelancer
Yeah.
has it where if you go into the space gates, they can interdict and they can push you out. Like bad guys can push you out. I like that. I think Red Dead, even if you're in the cinematic view in Red Dead 2 on a horse, I think you can still be attacked by
I like
bandits.
yeah, I like fast travel systems that have these mechanics where they require something out of you or there's risk. Kingdom Come, for example,
Yeah.
or even Horizon to an extent where you need to use these like campfires or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I like that for sure. I would interact with fast travel if it had like a downside or a thing to it, a risk.
Yeah,
to it.
Agreed. If there was
Yeah.
something, I don't mind saving at a campfire, but if there's a travel system, I do want interdiction being possible. I want bandits, because otherwise it just
Sure.
becomes I'm going to skip the bad stuff to get to this place. And I know a lot of people like it. They're more gamified. They don't have time. But or maybe a setting, you can start the game and say, do you want fast travel or not?
Yeah.
Yes, no. And if you say, whatever you say sticks with you. I know nobody wants
Sure.
that anymore. My old style of wanting like difficult stuff has gone away. think
I mean,
most people
even
want.
like I see some people like they don't like any space without like content in it. But I remember like a lot of there's something if they do it right, there's something to traversal and going through these open spaces like in Zelda or in what's the one by the Ico devs, the Giants one, the one where you just fight giants all the time.
Shadow of the
Where
Colossus?
each giant is a Shadow of the Colossus, where it was just everything's empty and you just go. But there's something about that where it added to the game where you
Yeah.
didn't need content every 2 seconds, right?
Empty space is one of my favorite things. Also, are those peanuts you got right there? Is that
Where?
a little jar of peanuts you got? Yeah, what
This?
is that? Yeah. Oh, it's a candle. Okay. I thought you had a little jar of peanuts. I was like, because I'm hungry. Yeah, yeah, there we go with the random shit. Yeah, Shadow of Colossus was awesome. I agree, though, that I think the silent parts are best because when it's interrupted, all of a sudden it feels more meaningful.
Yeah.
So those times are the best. How about Death Stranding, old boy says? Did Death Stranding have fast travel?
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah, and if you've already been somewhere, yeah, but you can't fast travel with cargo on you, if I remember correctly. Like you can't just cheat a delivery by fast traveling. There was stuff you unlock that makes you travel faster, like zip. But like if you were to fast travel with a mechanic, it's a mechanic where you go from like station to station. Yeah, you can't bring anything with you. Like everything, because there's an in-game explanation of fast traveling, and it only you can only travel without like.
Did you use
stuff
fast travel
on you.
in that one, or did you also walk around for the most part?
Only there's some regions that aren't connected, like you can't run from region to
Oh,
region.
gotcha. Okay.
So you had to fast travel between them, so I did that. Otherwise no, because I always used my like if I wanted to go somewhere, I always picked up like deliveries because I might as well, right?
Yeah, right.
Because and I always like the nice thing about like working, building roads and structures with other players is that it makes that backtracking way smoother. So all that like rough terrain that you like that gave you a lot
traveled
of
through to get
issues,
there.
now you can just like, oh, I'm gonna go on my van on this road and just chill, listen to some music, and just there's something about that I really liked. Yeah, so
Hush Out
yeah.
Ghoul, $5 super chat says Remnant 2 has a drink and die potion if you're too lazy to walk back to the start of the dungeon. Or, as Johnny showed me while streaming 2 or 3 days ago, you just leap into the water. So I saw Johnny leap into the water while playing Remnant 2, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, that's a fact.
Just to die to go back to the checkpoint.
It's just die to go back to the
You
checkpoint.
just
I was like,
jump off something.
I don't think I did that when I was playing. I just never, I
Yeah.
don't know why. It had never dawned on me.
Yeah.
Zelda with no fast travel, I would be fine with that. I enjoyed Zelda's worlds, the last 2,
Yeah.
at least. Very much so.
Yeah, well, the Tears of the Kingdom had, I mean, I had like this thing, this blueprint of like, the Green Goblin kind of thing, where it's just like
you mean the hover glider for Green Goblin and
glider,
Spider-Man?
but vertical, and so I just put, it's literally so easy. It's just 2 fans and a steering thing in the middle, and you could just go anywhere with that. You just go fly wherever you want.
I don't know about you, but sometimes I was playing that game and I was just like, I don't even want to put a steering column on there, and I would just go for it. I would like line it up and be all, here we go, let's just see it.
Just go.
Good. It was so good. Because when you did it, it felt like, yeah, man, I did that. I didn't need to exactly steer it. Because I think you get the steering column a little later, in fact. If I remember right,
yeah, there's
you get the fans
certain gumball machines that dispense them.
That dispense the items, yeah. And I remember for a long time, once I got pretty good at just jettisoning myself at full speed in a catapult, I was like, I don't need to steer.
Put some rockets on there, align it.
Or when you misalign it, like you put it, because...
Dude, it's crazy how that worked, dude. If you misalign something very, very slightly, you got, you know what I mean? And it had, the physics was insane, because even those gliders had this like, what do you call that? Like the air resistance thing where...
and like a momentum and a gravity that built up under it, then you get the air pressure. One of the things I also liked is if you did have it slightly off, you may not know right away, because you'd be launching, right? And you'd think everything was fine. Then you'd look at the, what island you wanted to go to, and you'd be all, why am I going over here? Oh, crap. I put that slightly wrong. Or I stepped on it wrong, because your weight also would impact it. Love the game's $5 super chat. Big question. When are the next gen boob physics? I'd also love for Fire and Destruction to finally step up. Playing Teardown has me wanting a AAA version. Fire
Destruction,
was in...
man.
Far Cry 2 was the first time I noticed fire.
Far Cry 2 fire was well done because it like spread and shit like that. Yeah, that's true. Destruction, the last AAA game that really pushed Destruction was like the fucking Mars one, right?
Remastered.
Yeah, that's it. Remastered. I don't remember any other. Bad Company. Bad Company pushed it. I don't remember recent games that really had good. I mean, Trepang 2 has some. Control has a lot of cool destruction, but it's not like a main.
Right, the finals, the new MP shooter has destruction.
Yeah, has destruction. Yeah.
I mean, like obviously he wants fire. I would love to see fire, but I'm not too into destruction. I mean, destruction's great if you can't destroy everything, because then you can really break you can kill everybody. But after a while, it just becomes like Remastered, where it sort of becomes its own thing, and it's not really a game. It's like, or the gimmick becomes almost too powerful. But yeah, I love the idea of destruction. It just has to be done right. I'm not as big into that. I like the fire propagation in Far Cry, and they did it in 5. Have you ever noticed with some games too, the fire doesn't, like, sometimes it doesn't make sense. It'll get out of control. You'll feel like you're far away and you'll be on fire. You'll be like, I don't think I was anywhere near the fire, where it doesn't propagate correctly. I would like to see that repaired. The big thing for me would be water. Because like Sea of Thieves, the first time you see Sea of Thieves, you're like, oh water. My God, that looks awesome. Yeah.
Nails water.
I would say AI is more important to me than any of those.
Oh God. Yeah, I feel like AI is just like seeing again Trepang 2 and like those older games just do AI well. I feel like it's like a constraint of like how small the levels are.
It absolutely
is, because they can
is,
program them easier with that.
Yeah, the Far Cry devs have talked about their AI all the time, and they're like, once you get so far out on an open world, you can't simulate them all the time. So it's like you simulate them every 30 frames or whatever, which is fine because you're not seeing them. But at the same time, it does turn off some of that. I would like to see games where the AI... So in No One Lives Forever, the AI was scripted. This was not true AI. They would flip the tables and hide behind them. Little interactions with the environment would be cool, and we've seen that with some games.
By AI, I don't mean true AI.
Yeah, no, either do I, because that would be shit. Like the AI it'd be Arma with the aiming accuracy to 200, where you're like, I don't know who killed me. Or the first time you play World at War, and I turned it up to the expert Call of Duty, and I turned it up to like the highest difficulty, and it was just grenades. It was like the episode of 300 or that movie with the arrows, but it was just grenades, and I was like, I'm dead. Dude, it wasn't even fun.
Dude, I don't know why this just popped into my head. It's completely, maybe it's adjacent, but it's fucking random. I watched a clip and about Uncharted.
The movie or the game?
The games. The Uncharted games. When you get hit, when your like health goes down, no one's hitting you. It's just your luck running out. And then when you die, it's one bullet killing you.
Yeah, one bullet that kills you. Yeah, I saw that. Somebody, isn't that a weird? And it works, by the way.
That's so weird.
Well.
That's why he doesn't say "ouch" or something when someone shoots at him, because it's just your luck running out. And people in the game,
it's a good idea to do. Oh, do they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they go like, he just goes like, "Yeah, I'm very lucky" or something like that, and she goes like, "Aren't you afraid of your whatever?" Yeah, there was like a little line about that.
Sort of pushing the idea that he is lucky.
He's just a lucky guy.
Yeah. Well, it's like Indiana Jones. If you really watch what happens, people fire sprays of gunfire at him, and somehow they all miss him.
Like,
and then
Steven
he gets
Seagal,
a small cut, or Steven Seagal, or any action movie, with
John Wick,
Fast and Furious, when those guys in their contracts can't lose a fight, So you get those kind of things. Terrence says, I really like the fire in Far Cry 2. I stepped out of the bunker and the entire grasslands was on fire. Yeah, those were. I mean, Far Cry's fire was. Yeah. I think also that developers look at it and try to decide what's going to be fun, what's going to break it. I mean, Assassin's Creed, we can diss on it all we want, or Ubisoft, but if you watch their GDCs, those guys think about it all the time. And some of the reasons, like they try something with testers, and testers are like, it sounds fun. This is not fun at all. It's not. It is not fun as a game. It sounds cool to a person who does simulations. Like Lex Friedman would be like, wow, this AI is doing 1,000 things. And the game player would be like, yeah, I'm dead. That's not, it's not fun, I would say with like AI, the only thing I've noticed I'm trying to think, I've seen cover behind doorways. You see a lot of cover with AI. I think that's how they indicate AI now, is just cover. Instead of the old days when you fired a bad guy and they'd stand there, all the games we see now is cover. Or flanking we see, And when it's really good flanking, when you feel like they're suppressing you, and then you get the bad guy beside you, that can feel awesome when it's done really well. Halo, I felt, did that. Love the games. $2 super chat. Can you say, do you know the Muffin Man? Just did. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Speaking of teardown, the game makes me nauseous. First ever to do that. Have you had a similar experience with other games that are not VR?
Oh, yeah.
Teardown makes him nauseous. Yeah, I have, especially if it's driving. Teardown. Teardown's the destruction game, huh? Makes him nauseous. Interesting.
Yeah. A game that made me nauseous was it's a good game. It's by those devs that make those old looking style game like Dusk and stuff. And that's the one with here, let me pull it up. A medieval. Because of the FOV or something, or just like the pace of the game made me a little bit nauseous.
I don't know how big your monitor is, but I always tell people you may want to check how far you're sitting away, because the farther you sit away, the less chance of being nauseous. So, especially if it's not covering your FOV, which is why VR nausea is a thing. It's not just the movement, it's the wide FOV. So I have a pretty big monitor, so I have to sort of go like and sit back. And
32-inch for me. I mean, not a lot of games make me nauseous. It's just those old style boomer shooters have like a tendency.
Super quick. For me,
and there's those
driving sometimes, but go ahead.
There's those style of boomer shooters that are just like psychedelic and weird, and your screen is like going like this. Have you seen those where it's like colors and crazy shit? People love those games, and I look at them and I'm like, I can never I can't play that. Yeah.
I will say that is one thing I did notice. There was a game that had some flashing. This was a couple years ago. It wasn't Cyberpunk, because I know there was things with the brain scan in Cyberpunk. There was a complaint. There's a game that had some flashing, and I don't have the reaction to that like a lot of people do. But even I, when it was flashing, had like, I wouldn't say a migraine, but it was that weird moment where my brain was like, whoa, that's a lot out of the blue.
Yeah,
it was like flash, 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 flash. And I remember thinking to myself, because I think I was previewing it, but I even DM'd the developer, and I was like,
It does.
just so you know, I could see that triggering other people who do have it instantly, and then even people who don't, like myself. It was a lot. It was like sensory overload out of the blue. Like it was a dark thing, and it was like 100 flashbangs going off.
You know what did that to me with the flashes was Observer, that Cyberpunk horror game.
Observer did it for a lot of people.
A lot of shit, yeah.
I think it just depends on the game, and again, it depends on how close you are. It depends on how bright your screen is, because sometimes I have the really bright tablets, and I don't know if you have any of these, but if you're really close and the bright tablet goes to like a Windows page, like, and yeah, kids behind you are getting tans and shit, like you're vaporizing vampires when it turns, because my wife, I'll wake her up all the time. I'll turn it on. She'll be like, what the fuck? Because it's 1,000 nits and it's like right in front of your face.
Help. It doesn't help. I like turn off all my, like I play in the darkness.
Ooh,
so
yeah. Getting bathed, man. Welcome to cancer, Absy. Welcome to. I don't know if there's actually any any connection
Everything
to that.
gives you cancer. Yeah.
Everything gives you cancer. Yeah. Let's see. How's it going, ACG? Any recommendation on some purchases for the autumn Steam sale? I don't. I never track sales, man. Or not Steam sales stuff.
I think everything is on sale almost.
I think everything's probably on sale. Yeah. I will also say this. I just got to point this out real quick. I'm sorry.
Sure. Go for it.
Anybody who's doing purchasing for Black Friday, do not believe websites, because almost all of them I've seen so far, including prominent websites, are doing the clickbait stuff where they're like, let me review this gaming chair, and you read it and it's quite literally just like them copy pasting from the technical specs of the chair and an Amazon affiliate link. I'm not saying you shouldn't use Amazon affiliate links. I've got one. What I'm saying is, don't believe the words they say, because a lot of them are wrong. I saw 3 that were talking about monitors.
That use AI?
They were using either AI or they were taking data from a review, and it maybe they put it together weird, but there were multiple ones. I was like, let me talk to you about these routers, and it's 10 routers, and you're all, dude, that's the shit you're talking about. Or maybe it's old and it didn't talk about, the new version, the A version, that's the only version they sell anymore. So I just wanted to warn people. What were you going to say? I apologize.
I do want to recommend some indie games I picked up last week, but before that, I was looking for a Remnant 2 guide for a specific thing. And it's so funny, dude. I don't know if they used AI for this or not, but it was so. I hate those guides and these articles, because literally every sentence or every second sentence they're putting a buzzword so that they could go on the top of the SEO, where it's like Souls-like players would be happy to if you like Bloodborne, there's a Soulsborne player I was looking for a thing for a puzzle where it's like, a Soulsborne player might see that the puzzle here, and then like Bloodborne, literally every sentence I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. I hate that. But
just
anyways,
give me my data. Just give me my data.
Yes.
The worst are where they link to 1,000. Like when you're doing YouTube, when you're doing pages, linking to your content is smart, but there is always a level to where you link too much, and to where people are like, okay, it doesn't feel real anymore. And there was one I saw recently that it was like 50 articles that all linked to their other articles, and they didn't even source the actual content of the article that they got from like a Twitter, games journalist. They forgot to do that because they were in such a rush to link 10 other videos. And by the way, they were linking to leaks and to data that wasn't theirs. It was another article where they were reporting somebody saying something, and it was just links all the way down. It was just link after link after link. And you're like, man. This is so uncomfortable to read.
The one I was on was Gamer Rant, I think.
Gamer Rant's pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Yeah, PC Gamer's terrible right now.
They're always on the top of the Google searches, dude. Oh,
they know their SEO, man. I got to do that for the channel.
Souls-like player would like Bloodborne and Souls-like, and shut the fuck.
Six Blade says Fextra Life should be able to help you with RT, with Remnant 2. I
Good
go
to
to
know,
Game
good to know,
Pressure
good to know.
and Gamer Guides, and I usually
Yeah.
pay $5, I think, is one of them, and they're good
Gotcha.
guides generally. I
See, I don't
actually,
usually use guides, so like it's like it's like a new thing.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
but what you're talking about is what I'm saying is these are guides that won't have what you're talking about.
For sure.
So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
won't have all the links.
No, I'm saying that's why I'm like new to like I don't know what's good or I
Right.
didn't know there was that much marketing out there within those guides. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I don't even
yeah,
know
yeah.
if they're guides anymore. They're really just little factoids with links separated. But I wanted to shout
Yeah.
out one the ones that I have used. I've actually been pretty impressed with them. But the one thing I like in a guide is where they don't say go here, go there. They'll be like Arthur is hurt, because I was doing one for Red Dead. I was reading one for
Sure.
Red Dead, and I had two of them, and one was like, you finish this quest, your next quest will be this. And this one had some filler text. And I know it sounds dumb, but I like the filler text one way more. Where it was given,
Yeah.
it was like Arthur then talks to, Dutch, who's angry about this. And there was something about it that felt more readable. Like it was it was actually easier to parse. I don't know why, but even though there's more data, I was like, oh yeah, I sort of dig this. It feels more like not as cut and dry. I guess with a website it's different. This is a PDF that I downloaded. I think it's
sure.
Game Pressure, but
Yeah, context can be important.
and it's
to,
sort of
like-
nice because you can skip it easy if you have a list of stuff yourself.
Sure.
If you're following that list, it's easy to forget and just you go on to the next thing. You're not listening. I've been enjoying Arthur's stuff in Red Dead 2 even more than the first time, like the camp. Walking around the camp, listening to people talk. And I did it in the review, but I don't know if they added more, or maybe actually, now that I think about it, it's the second or third camp. So it might actually be the camp, but there was just some random discussion. I mean, I already knew about the dance. I did those in the review and stuff like that, but there was stuff that they said. I sat down at one campfire and just let it run. And I did I've never done this before. In the campfire, I forgot you can do the cinematic view at any time. And I guess I just didn't think about that. And so in this time, I've done the cinematic view where he's sitting at the campfire. And some of the stuff they say doesn't match up, but it's hilarious. They'll be like, hey, good morning, Arthur. And then 2 seconds later, they'll be like, what the fuck's your problem? And I'll be like, what? I'm just saying, did I fart? It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wanted to say like what I picked up. They were on sale last week. I think
go
I'm pretty
for
sure they. Yeah. I picked up this game called Not for Broadcast, which is pretty cool. It's an FMV game where you're sitting in a newscasting thing, and you're basically the editor, where you move. Your job is to like basically take something and put it into the live thing, which is running like 5 seconds after like the actual broadcast.
Yeah.
So like people would be talking, you have to change the camera angles and stuff. You got to bleep out the cuss words. You got to do some stuff. It's really, really, really fun. Another one I picked up was Do Not Feed the Monkeys, which is pretty funny. It's kind of odd, where you're basically a person low income, like you're not you got to make money, but you're subscribed to this thing where you're peeping at people's lives, and you gotta like it's kind of like point and click, where you gotta learn stuff about people, and you learn about like some controversies and stuff. And there's like one rule: do not feed the monkeys, meaning don't interact with any of the people you're watching. But you get these like things where you're like, I can't hold it, like I gotta tell this person about this, because you learn about like random shit that's going on, about like you learn about this dude stalking this actress, and you can report him. And there's a lot of really, really cool shit. Kind of getting into it. Pretty fun. Crystal Project, for any JRPG enjoyers that don't want too much story, and it's all about like go back to like Final Fantasy 1, where it's just about like job systems and shit. It's just exploration, some platforming and stuff, finding gear, finding new jobs, like new classes, and like leveling those up and getting bonuses, and just basically like a cool neat indie JRPG, which is pretty nice and has a lot of rewarding exploration and cool shit. It's all exploration. There's no like big ass, like there's like a main kind of quest, but it's like in the background. And American Arcadia, which looks really, really, really cool, and I downloaded it, and I still haven't launched it, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a story-based game where it mixes this like I don't know if it's not third person, kind of like
2.5
2.5D, but also first person.
Yeah.
and those are all on sale, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Arcadia so far from a little bit I've played is awesome. It's got like a flashback vibe to it, which I dig. In fact, I think Flashback 2 released recently. Now that I think about it, Flashback 2, which was the original Flashback, was a classic. You got all those on Steam sales, or did
Not
you just
this Steam sale, but
Mm.
they were all on sale. Actually, I need to check my wish list to see what's on sale from my wish list. But yeah,
I don't really look at those. I know a lot of people do, and you'll see the links because Steam does a sale every month, don't they? Doesn't Steam do like a Steam
They
sale every
always have
month? Or
something going
it
on. I
seems
don't
like
know.
everything. I guess that's what I'm sort of saying is a lot of times when I go to any game I want, there's a sale already. It's like it's already on sale, so
This
I
one
guess it's
is
hard to track.
This one's also a massive, like even Lords of the Fallen is down 34%, Hogwarts Legacy off 40%, Red Dead 2 is off 70%. Like there's so many crazy sales. Valhalla's off 75%. The only game that never goes on sale more than 20%, like RimWorld, is only 20%. RimWorld will never go on sale. I think people
It's
just
the
buy
Nintendo
it.
game of indies, or
It's the Nintendo game of
yeah.
Steam or some shit where it just never goes on like a massive sale or anything. It's crazy. Even on third-party websites, I always see like full price or like a little bit lower than full price.
So there you go, everybody. Any wait for a sale game that I've ever reviewed is probably on sale right now.
There you go. Yeah. So
Black Friday is going to be a big thing
Book
here,
of Travels.
of course.
That's one I wish listed, but it's still in early access. Have you heard about it?
Not if it's on early access. I'm pretty much.
Yeah, I don't wanna buy anything in early access, but it's basically like you're in a medieval world and you're just traveling and you're like writing in your book and stuff. You're just like going through and traveling.
Oh, like almost like a journaling game?
Journaling, adventuring, setting your own goals. And it's kind of zen, but you can craft a unique character and immerse yourself in the enchanted land. So it's like fantasy, but you adventure in it. You're not like a hero or anything. You're just living in it.
I did really enjoy, because this is what I'm playing, but I did enjoy Arthur doing the journals and reading through those again.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I had played those.
He's an artist. He draws very well.
Yeah, he did. I mean, they did a good job of making, again, I do like Red Dead 1 better. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, a good deal better. But
like the game, the overall game?
Just like Red Dead 1 better. It's probably just a time frame. Just like when it came out, it was stunning. But Arthur is obviously a deeper character because they had more chops, they had more time, there's more things that interact, and I do definitely love that. Like he's noting down things in his journal, and it's a meta game in a weird way. You can ignore it, and it won't ever impact anything. And then if you don't ignore it and you jump in, it adds more to him, like little things he says, little worries he has about Dutch. Little like Dutch is doing, because you don't get that all the time with the verbalization. You do get it from Dutch, who, by the way, won't shut up about Arthur not trusting him, though Arthur doesn't say anything. So for the first half of this game, Dutch is like, you got to trust me, Arthur. And Arthur's over here going, what the fuck are you talking about? I've said nothing. But in his journal, he does. And I actually thought that was maybe a little bit of a misstep. Maybe I just hit the wrong voice cues in this time playing it. But I was like, why is he continually give me shit? I've done nothing but I've done every job he said, and I've never said anything to him. It's just Dutch's paranoia building up, which I thought was really cool. And in the journal, Arthur talks about it. It's very awesome for a side.
It gives you more context about like the Blackwater situation, like why
it gives you context for why he started
Dutch.
all of that kind of stuff. It's really yeah. Matter of fact, I think I got a verbalization of that about the girl Dutch shot. Because I don't think I read that, but I got the verbalization, and then there's a bit in the extra, and I was like, that's actually pretty good. You don't remember the journal in RDR2, R. L. Stein says. Interesting. Oh, sure. I mean, if you didn't interact with it, it's not going to ruin the game. The game is just as good with it. It's just an extra little bit that I thought was highly interesting. Very cool to see in a kind of game. Real quick, let's talk about portables. Oh, continue. What were you going to say?
No, I just want to say, because like the character writing in that game is like very, very deep, and the development and stuff. And I'm sure like it gives you a lot more context about why things are the way they are.
Yeah. You were going to ask me about portables. I just didn't want to skip it.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, because so I have a gaming laptop. I have a PC. I have a Switch. And I've been looking at these portables, and like I I feel like I want to get one. Like I want to get a Lenovo or something, or even just a Steam Deck, like a lower one, like just like a just. But like I just want to like not. I don't want you to convince me, per se. I just want to know like what is your like what is your use case for it the most? Like what do you think? Why do you think it's worth investing in?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't have to worry about me convincing you. I convince you when
Sure.
you and I are talking.
Sure.
Which,
No,
so
I don't.
I'll be like, hey man, I'm streaming this. I'm shooting this guy while you're trying to fix your computer, and I'm like, guess what? I'm playing right now on streaming.
Sure.
But in real
Sure.
out here, fuck no.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
because
it's not worth it.
No, not at all. Because you have all these steps to go through. Whether it be a Steam Deck, whether it be a Chinese knockoff that's $99, whether it be a Lenovo, which is $700. What you need to do, and the same thing happened with the VR, and I talked about this in voice chat a couple days ago. The only time I've ever felt guilt was a tiny bit with VR, because I do know that people get, I've seen it and I've been told it, where if I get excited, people have a tendency to go, whoa, dude, probably because I am blunt. So when I'm excited, people are like, that must be. So with VR, I still believe in all the reviews I gave, but with your group in particular, there's a little bit of something that popped up with VR, which was that after a while, I was like, man, I probably should have like told these guys prior to. I do remember I even went back and looked where I was like, watch out, because it's not for everybody. But it was such a big deal, and at the time, we all thought there were going to be all these games announced for VR.
Sure.
Like you just like, oh yeah, and these 5 games are great, and they were at the time. But then after a while, that dried up. With handhelds, they're great. They're only great for me, and they're great if you want one. If you're ever saying, should I get one, then you should not get one.
No, because like the reason I just look at it and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to get it. It's just because like, oh, like it'd be cool to, I guess, like, oh cool, I'm gonna play this game like on the couch or something. But and I look at it and tech, always like new cool tech, or like looking at the Lenovo Go and how sleek it is and how cool the screen and everything. I'm like, oh my god, I want that. But then I think about it and I'm like, should I dish out that much money just to be able to like play on my couch? Like, is it worth it? Like, am I not, I'm sitting on my desk, like, I don't know, is it worth it to just play a little bit before bed? Or but
No.
like then I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, it'd be so cool if I'm just chilling. Like, I don't have a wife and kids, I don't have like any, like, I don't know. So and then I think like, okay, so I do travel sometimes. I travel for work. I have that. But then if I'm like on 5-hour plane rides, it's not even gonna last me that long. If I'm playing like let's say I'm playing Red Dead or something, it's not gonna last me that long. Okay, I sit in the hotel, like I think I would buy one if the battery life is like 6 hours at least, maybe.
Yeah.
Of play.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't. I absolutely. I mean, I have them and like them, but they work for me because I also like to review. So what's really nice is, let's say I want to talk about the story, I can jump in and play it and not worry about graphics, because that wouldn't be a fair comparison because you have millisecond delays and stuff. But when it comes like story, or I want to look at the systems and I just don't want to sit at my chair because we've done a podcast or whatever, that's great. But for a normal person, in no way, shape, or form, not even for the cheapest one, those systems are not for people to say, should I get one because I might have reasons. They're for people who say, I have reasons, which one should I get? And there is a huge difference right
that's
now.
a good.
Yeah. I would love to be able to say it's not that, but
So it's not for people on the fence.
No, dude, it's way too premium for that. It's
like, I'm not going to be out of
premium.
Like, it's not like it's a life or death. Like, it's not like I can't afford it, and
yeah,
it's just about like it's not a smart decision for
well,
me,
here's the problem. You could afford VR and you're not playing it.
Yeah, sure.
Just because you can afford, and the thing is I love handheld. I mean, streaming is amazing, but a lot of it is streaming. The battery, when you have it running full speed, whatever, you're not going to get the battery life that I think is acceptable to it, at least to me. I think the battery life on even the longest, if you're not streaming, if you're playing it in your hand, the battery life is just nowhere. It's just nowhere where I would want it.
That's like the biggest issue. That's like the biggest issue.
It needs a step up, and the One X Player Pro is the only one, because that battery is a beast. And it's uncomfortable. And I've stated that, that's my major takeaway from that is, wow, it does run for a long time. especially if you adjust the graphics a little bit, but it's got a good deep battery and it's just a beast. I mean, the Lenovo is bigger in overall size and it still weighs less and it's much more comfortable. And I just,
Dude, if they said,
I can't
like,
suggest it yet.
Here's a Lenovo at full load, it can run a game for 8 hours, I wouldn't even think about it. I'd buy it. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. But now I'm just like, the use case just gets narrower with a smaller battery life.
And they're great for, I don't know how to describe it, man. I just don't think, I mean, they're great, and when I have them, it's easy to sell them, but it's like once I start looking at the normal consumer, for example, Cadiz, he's asked about it a couple times because he hears me talk about it. He's like, should I? And I've shown it to him. But then
I get that FOMO too, right?
He does for a second, but I think he trusts, you know, where I'm like, hey, there's these things that you need to worry about. And he started looking at his time in front of his computer and console, and then was like, well, would I want that extra hour in bed to do that, or should I read, or should I go to sleep? Do I want to eat up? Would it be advantageous to me to have to buy this, have to make sure it's charged so I can lay down, versus, let's say, a $4 claw from Amazon and put his phone on a 360 controller, which is what most of my friends have done. Almost everybody I've shown the Steam Deck to, the G Deck, the G Cloud, whatever. Almost every person I know has ended up buying a claw for a controller and just saying, I'll see how much this $15 claw works and maybe I'll step it up, and no one stepped it up because they're just like, well, this is, for what their use case is, this is good enough. I love the idea of being on a plane, being able to play it and stuff like that, but I don't like the idea of the batteries. I also think their tech, Legion seems to run really cool. It's the only one that I feel comfortable saying it runs cool. ROG runs pretty goddamn hot. Steam Deck runs cool, but it's really low powered compared to well, not really low powered, but it's on the lower end. And then Switch obviously runs cool. Switch's battery, what's a Switch last? Do you remember what a
not
Switch
that long.
lasts?
I mean, if I'm playing Zelda, it's probably like
not that long.
Hours,
3.5
hours. But yeah, Switch. Like I'm just waiting for the Switch too, because the Switch, that's a different discussion for me, because that's a Nintendo. There's exclusives there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, true.
That's my reason. That would be the thing that pushes me, is like, oh, there's exclusives on there, and I like Nintendo games. So that's why I'm like, yeah, Switch 2 I'm gonna get. But
what also bothers me, dude, I gotta tell you, it actually bothers me. So you got the Steam Deck, and they've got their older screen and their newer screen. G Cloud screen is phenomenal. It's not as good as the OLED, but it's way better than the original. And here's what I came out with this. It's the same shit that happened with VR and with consoles. Nothing is perfect all the way around. Even the Lenovo, though I think it's probably the closest, it's still, you know, I would like the battery to be longer. They all have some caveat. And it pisses me off. It's like, okay, so let's say you get it $600. My personal, this is just me pretending I run the world. At $600, if I was selling you something for $600, I would fucking show up at your house and install it. That's $600. That's a lot of money. I would be like, Absy just spent $600. I'm going to I'm going to call a technician and install it for him, because that's $600. And we still get these goddamn systems that have some little issue here and there. And that bothers me. And I think we're still
for sure.
a year or two away from somebody saying, here's a price point, good performance, good battery, good everything, and runs everything, because I think that's another thing. Like the Steam Deck is great, but it's taken so long to get some of these up to date. It's finally up to date with a lot of stuff, which is great. Windows needs some, you know, I know a lot of people complain about Windows. I haven't had an issue on the Lenovo. I did on the One X player and figured out it was my screen protector. I just figured that out recently.
Interesting. So what you're saying is I should get a PlayStation Portal. That would be a wise choice.
Nor just says, have you watched the final episode of Enterprise yet? Shut up, Nor. Shut up. No, you should not get a Portal. And come on. Portal's just Have you tried the OLED Steam Deck? I have. Yeah, it's a Steam Deck. Pretty good, though. Just not... Steam Deck is also not super comfortable to me. I think that's another thing, Absy. Depends on your hand size. So, I don't know your thumb. Like, if you have issues with the Switch... But some of these, if you have issues with the Switch, you
I
shouldn't
have
even
issues
look
with
at.
the Switch. Oh, Joy-Cons, I don't even touch it. I don't play.
Some of these you should not look at then if you have issues with the like only the Steam Deck, the Legion, G Cloud is a little rough. It gets a little crimpy because it's down. And the nice thing about the Legion is it's got the full magnetic game pads, which is just a bonus in and of itself. But comfort's another thing, depending on your hand size. Because I think it was Reg who was saying that some of these just don't even fit his hands at all. And Citizen Sleeve, that dude's going to need a fucking, he's going to need like an arcade pad, like an exercise pad to play his games. So, what about everybody else?
Wait,
what do you
an
guys play
exercise pad?
I was saying he would need one because his hands are so big. Sleeve's hands are like 95 inches.
Yeah,
He's got
Sleeve's
banana fingers, man.
Yeah,
one of his fingers is like, dude, that looks a little sexual. The Switch I can play with the Joy-Cons. I have to use, can't play. I have to use third party. Yeah, I've got the Satisfy controller for my Switch, and it's great, man. That thing is. Did you get a extender for your Switch, Abzy? Or do you?
Controller wise?
Yeah,
yeah, of course. I mean, the Hori. The Hori is really, really good.
Hori.
It's like big great. And nice and like yeah. And then obviously for docked, I mean the Pro controller is just a fantastically ergonomic, big ass buttons. It's amazing. Yeah, it fits so well into my hands. Yeah.
Something just popped into my head. Is there a Switch Pro controller claw for phones? And if there is there an Android app to take the Pro controller and turn it into an Xbox? Because if so, that would be your most comfortable device, probably.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Because, dude, I got to tell you, everything about the Portal when it comes to what's good is its gamepads. It is true. Like, when you see this thing, I mean, those are just basically PlayStation, and it's the most
That's what they should do.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. It looks, I mean, I know I saw some people saying it looks ugly, but I'm like, to me, it looks exactly like what it is. Which is controllers and a screen. What else would you make? Yeah, right. It looks pretty much the way it should.
I have no issues with how it looks or how it feels. I have issues with what it is, but no, yeah. I mean, they should. That's the only thing that's like. I look at it and I'm like, oh, like that is nice. But then I also saw that the PlayStation Portal. Like I was looking at a technical people playing it and recording the time, like the lag,
latency?
And it's over 150 ms, and I'm like, oof.
Okay.
That's
okay. So I don't know if it's that bad, but I can say that I separated mine. I put it on a different channel, all that stuff. I put it on the fastest channel. I did for the testing. I can say that when I hold it up and I have my screen, because the HDMI out works on the PlayStation at the same time. Yeah. There is, I don't see, dude, it depends on the game. Red Dead feels weird. I can admit that. And Red Dead feels weird already. We got those complaints. The day Red Dead came out, remember, people were like, oh, Arthur feels slow. And so he already feels that way. I didn't notice it as much in Horizon as I did in Red Dead. And I don't know if I just had a bad connection or what. But latency is wireless. You're going to always have something going on because it's wireless. Routers are set up in a way to always make sure the signal gets through and not worried about latency. That's why you have game modes where they like ignore the buffer. So it depends on your router too. But I've seen people be like, oh, you need to for sure be 6E or whatever. You don't. Like that isn't a thing. I mean, you can still get incredible latency, super low. It just depends on where you are, where your router is. And that's with any device. Any device. It's a thing.
But why didn't they make it so that if you're like right in front of your PlayStation, it just acts as a controller to the PlayStation and it just streams the video? How does the Wii U do it? Because Wii U has like
Wii U has a dock. You put it in the dock, and it shuts the screen off.
Yeah, but then it doesn't have input lag when you're using the screen, right? Because it like connects directly Bluetooth, maybe.
Yeah, I can't speak to why they did certain stuff. I can say that you can play with this as a controller on your screen, and I've done so for like 5 hours, where I was just watching because I was recording video, and I was like, oh, playing it, and
there's no input lag there.
There is. But here's the thing. I do want to point this out, man, because you and I have talked about this with 60 FPS as well. Input lag humans can become quite adjusted to. And so if you understand that it's a wireless fucking device, it's going to have some issues. Any normal we can pretend we're all weak and that it'll crash us and we'll be like, 1 millisecond latency, I've died. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
and I
It's
don't
not
like
that
it,
bad, but like I've had
but I'm not going to lie
TVs
about
with
that.
like TVs with no game mode or whatever with over 100 ms input lag, and it just I just
Controller
you know
plus, by
I,
the way. The controller has input. So you're talking more like 150 by the time you're done. Because the controllers have
yeah,
input
sure.
lag. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
controllers,
big
and then
difference.
there's like cables and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But and that just it just maybe it's because like it it's always usually when you play something and then right after it
Yep.
you try something
Yeah.
else, right?
That's
That's when you
HDR
notice
in a
it the most,
nutshell.
right?
Somebody sees
Yeah,
HDR, they go to their own TV and they're like, "Oh my god!" And that's the only way to really demonstrate HDR adequately to somebody is to have them
yeah,
see two things beside each other. Yeah. By the way,
exactly.
I don't love the Portal, but control wise and what it's trying to do, I have no issues with. I just don't think it does it well. That's just the honest truth. Like I think all the handhelds have some caveat, and it's unfortunate.
Sure.
I also, from what I've seen for the chips inside, it's probably not powerful enough to run to run Android on top of, for example, PS Play or one of your other remote devices and do a higher bit rate either. Which I'm little. Some people were hoping for a bit rate increase, including myself. I don't know if that'll happen.
There are two things that I find quite perplexing on top of like the product itself is first of all, why the fuck does it have an airplane mode?
I still don't
Second
know.
of all, why doesn't it have just like a simple web browser if you're in a hotel or if you're in a cafe and they usually have like a web-based login? Apparently you can't even do that. But why does it have an airplane mode? Like
I don't know.
what are you gonna do with it?
I don't know. There's
Like
another
are they
mode. I can't
planning on?
remember what it was, but there's another one where if you turn it on, it's not airplane mode. There's something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was just like it makes it useless the moment you push the button and you have to go back to the system. There's some oddities
so
there.
weird, man.
Hush Out Ghoul, $5 super chat. Do you think PS Portal would be a better product if it was exactly like a Wii U pad? No. Come on, man. Nobody wants a Wii U pad. Wii U. Like, does anybody in the world like the Wii? Maybe I'm wrong and everybody likes the Wii U.
Yeah, who likes the Wii U? I think I don't think it was that man, the Wii U was a blunder, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, everybody in chat, is the Wii U considered good? And I'm not aware. TB says most people
Maybe
have
it's like
crappy
the thing where
routers.
like a while after it becomes like good in people's heads.
Yeah.
You know, like the Vita. Or I guess Vita became like
Vita
didn't do well at launch.
No, it might have been patched up firmware patch. I can't remember much about the Vita.
But now
really wasn't
people
my
herald
thing.
it.
Oh well,
Yeah, people love it.
Dude, I had somebody try to tell me Double Dragon was good on the consoles, and I'm like, I own the goddamn thing. You know, like, what are you talking about? We get that. I mean, that's just sort of, rose-tinted glasses kind of stuff. All the games that end up coming out at 30 FPS on console have had no one complaining once they were actually played. Well, I think I saw some people complaining. I agree. Some 30 FPS games look pretty rough. I don't know about you. On when you have a PS5 version of a game, are you doing performance modes, or are you doing quality? Or are you
always
doing
performance mode always because I just know like because I don't play on 4K. And so the idea of hindering frame rate, even though like a large part of that hindrance comes from the 4K resolution, just makes me not. If I had a 4K, it'd be more of a decision. Because if I start a game and it has good frame basing, and I start it at 30 FPS, and I don't even look at the 60 FPS mode, and it just feels good, I could, yeah. I just don't. I can't switch. If I switch, it's like, oh no, I can't. I have to go back to performance mode.
Yeah, I get that. I do have to test them, and I got to tell you, it's almost every time I test it 30 first and then go to 60. Because if you go to 60 and then go to 30, sometimes you also feel you're worse. And by the way, on those games where you can do that, you're probably not worse, because they're probably not games that require that. So it's like you're doing a Horizon, and it's like if you can't play that at 30 FPS, I don't know where the hell you are. Whether you
Horizon,
like it or not, that's completely...
I switched between performance and quality so many times, and I couldn't tell the difference. I guess because I'm also not on a 4K monitor.
Or isn't Horizon one of the games that the Switch wasn't working? There is a game that was a primary title from Sony, I believe.
Like the frame rate was better.
But I believe I'm almost 100% sure on this that there was a title or two on Sony where if you switched it, either one thing switched or nothing switched, and you had to reset. You had to do,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's been patched, I'm sure.
Interesting.
But there was definitely, and that can happen
It
too.
has been
Yeah.
patched.
So maybe it was patched.
It was patched because like I was looking at in performance mode, the game was just still a fucking stunning looker.
Yeah.
Like it just looked amazing. But I think Reg told me that it was like performance mode was on a lower res. It was on 1080p, but now it's checkerboarded something. So it just looks much
I mean,
better.
if you're a pixel peeper and you're really close to your monitor, you may notice those things. You may notice sharpness. I think does happen where you
the
get
only
bad
pixel
TAA.
peeping I do is lighting. Yeah. Oh, TAA as well. Yeah. Lighting is the only thing for me that I really not really pixel peak, but I appreciate very good like diffusion and ambient occlusion and stuff like that. Like
ambient occlusion if it's not really if like you have it turned way down or whatever, and then you turn it up, you realize that even on low it's better than like it's a good it's one of the better it's one of the better options that when you see it you're like, wow, this does make everything look more grounded in where it is in the shadow. Even with shadows on, if the ambient occlusion is not on, it doesn't. Ambient occlusion even at low is usually, at least to me, one of the first visual things I always turn on. I make if I'm playing not for review, but I mean just playing again.
Yeah, like lighting and shaders and shadows alone, they even make textures look way better. Like just that lighting adds so much depth and it makes things way more photorealistic. Like it's all about the lighting.
Yeah, lighting's a big deal. I mean, I know why people want HDR to be good. I can't wait till it is. But like when HDR is really good and you see it in a good game, it is pretty stunning because it is one. I also think lighting's probably the most important to me. In fact, I would say above resolution, as long as it's not that TAA like glaucoma vision kind of thing where everything
MS Paint.
Yeah, and it's or a Gaussian filter at 1% or something. You're like, what the fuck is going on? There's something. But when they do a sharpen or they do a good version of upscaling, and then you get lighting, I would say lighting's more important. There's something. Speaking of that, there's something when you get really good lighting, like Alan Wake, where you realize I'd rather have this thing running at 900p and have that lighting than have it run at, let's say, 4K and turn all that lighting down because it's just such a well, that was just a number.
Upscaled?
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, even TVs do upscaling, so it's almost every device we have now does upscaling.
It's insane to me. I know there's been like a lot of DLSS hate or whatever, but I was literally like staring at my screen, pixel peeping, switching between native and DLSS quality, and I'm like, please, can I please see a difference? And I was like looking, and I'm like, am I just getting better frames? I can't. Maybe I just don't have the eyes for DLSS. Maybe there's some shimmering in some spots or whatever, but God, I don't like. I do not see that much of a difference to like to the frame rate it gives me, dude. Yeah.
I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but prior to DLSS and FSR, when Sony was nailing it and they were doing a really good job with some of their upscaling they programmed in, people were just like, oh, wow, this looks amazing. But then the moment it got added to cards, you started to see this like pinky up kind of people who were native. And like I always say, it does remind me of V8s being replaced by turbo. No one had heard, we just didn't think about it. It was like V8, massive horsepower. Yeah, it's inefficient. And then you'd see these turbos, you'd see like some kind of specialized car, and you'd be like, how is that going to happen? It's like electric stuff. Man, when I was younger, if you had told me an electric lawnmower would exist, I would be like, that's impossible. Because it'd go 1 mile an hour because they just, the technology wasn't there. And now that's what we own. And the thing's a monster. Like, it'll chop a tree down. And you're like, dude, that is wicked. So I just like the improvements. And I think DLSS and stuff is great.
And I guess there could
sometimes
be bad
there's bad
implementations.
I was going to say the streamers. I've definitely Remnant 2, I believe, had an issue with particles going, and they had like just like the draw was not done tightly and it was not curbed off, so you'd get this. It almost looked like streamer confetti thrown out of a window instead of a particle. So an ash particle didn't look like a discrete unit; it looked like this stream of shit.
Or like I remember Watch Dogs Legion's beards when you turn on DLSS, it would just Very patchy. Yeah.
Matter of fact,
Yeah.
what game was I just playing? I was playing Invincible, the point and click game I played, and
Sure.
I can't remember which setting, but there's a particular setting where everybody's face hair turned white, and it was like I was looking at it going what, and it was obviously sampling depth of some kind, and it was only taking like the lighting, and it was just applying it everywhere. And this guy showed up, and he looked like the most evil Santa Claus from Mars. It was crazy. I don't get the hype behind ray tracing. Yeah, I mean it is what it is.
I think
it
it's
works when it
I think
works.
it's a luxury thing. I think ray tracing is a luxury thing. I think they've rasterized raster became way like so good. Like there's a lot like even Alan Wake 2, like look it up on the PS5 or anything on low on like the lighting it has is just like they nailed it without the need for ray tracing. But it definitely changes stuff. Some games it's more of a stylistic choice where it's like, oh, I just like how this looks more. But it's not like a huge it's definitely a luxury want. I don't think it's like a need right now.
No, and we got sold
And
down the
so,
river, man.
yeah.
Those I mean Nvidia and AMD and well Intel to a lesser extent we're all like, oh man, ray tracing this, ray tracing that, and we got it, and it's like they didn't say it was going to be 1/4 the FPS.
Yeah.
You know, you assume when they're all we have accelerators, blah blah blah, and you're like, okay, whatever, that'll be great if that works, and it didn't.
Yeah.
It's only
It's just
now
in
are
my
we
head.
starting to see it get to performance, and that's
It's
on
crazy.
a 4090. Like it
Yeah.
just
Yeah. And
that
because in my head, dude. No, sorry.
no,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Okay. No, in my head, because like before I think a couple like 2 or 3 years before RTX came out, before the 20 series cards came out, I for an assignment I had to ray trace an image with C. I had to code in ray tracing for like an image of balls and just add like no like actual balls,
Oh, okay.
like
I thought we were
colored.
talking. Okay, I get you.
No, not ball sack.
Like that's
And
it's a weird
I
teacher.
had to like ray trace, like, do all the reflection basically and refraction. Um, and to render it, granted, I rendered it on like a MacBook Air, but it literally took 8 hours to render the
Yeah.
one image. So when those like RTX cards came out, I was like real time, you're gonna ray trace real time the vectors and everything was going in my head, like that whole assignment I did for one image, you're gonna do that in real time. And it just ever since then it just I knew from that moment that I was like, okay, this is definitely gonna be a super big hindrance to performance.
Bryce 3D is what I used, and you could make landscapes. And I remember you'd hit like render, and you could choose 1/4 up to full scale or whatever. If you did 1/4, it was like 45 seconds. If you did full, it was like 15 minutes, and it was just a generic-looking sci-fi landscape you would see on anybody's desktop that would take 7 seconds in Photoshop to make now. Yeah,
Right.
Overall, I think ray tracing's awesome, but I do get bothered that we'll see artistic design go away, and that because, for example, we talked about Zelda. We were looking at that Zelda video in the chat in the Patreon Discord, and you were showing that video of, I can't remember, but that one guy who was posting different mods for Zelda.
8K.
Yeah. And you look at it and you're like, that is amazing looking. But what I'm worried about is that everybody will try to go photorealistic and will lose the Wind Wakers of the world.
Sure.
Or they'll try to add ray tracing to the Wind Wakers of the world. And the honest truth is that game's weird color lighting is not natural. And I would rather have them just do it than everybody trying to hit ray tracing, which, like you said, frame rate wise, we're still in deep shit frame rate wise. Like it's just nuts, man. It's definitely not a thing yet.
That's a cool thing to think about, because as like technology as a whole, like when we get like more and more better performance, all that stuff, I wonder, because there's always like, okay, you'll get more photorealistic games, but we've seen newer artsy games or like art style games, like let's say Super Mario Odyssey, where it just looks better. I want to see how they evolve more so than like I know how the photorealistic games are going to evolve. They're just going to look realer. I want to see how the artsy games are going to evolve as well. Like what are they going to do with that technology?
That's exactly what I'm wondering, and it will still happen.
Hopefully that doesn't go away.
I don't think it will. I just think that maybe if it gets performant, people might get a little lazy. Not even lazy, some devs may decide the artistic design takes a little longer than throwing some ray tracing on there and making it look somewhat real. And then the more you play remember the brown days of the 360 when so many games were brown
Everything
and blue
was
and
so
yellow?
brown,
Yeah. And that's
green.
it is quite literally connected to the texturing, the lighting passes, all of the ways the new Unreal and the new engines, not just Unreal, had started to handle things. So a lot of games started to look suspiciously like they were inbreeding. And by the way, I love many of those games. I like their look even. But remember, there'd be games where you turn on and be like, they look suspiciously alike. Even sometimes not even the same graphics engine. But you were like, why? And it's because everybody had jumped on board a particular thing. I don't think that'll happen anymore. We got enough engines. I can't, I think we're in good shape. I think ray tracing's awesome we already do it for audio. But stuff like that, where you're bouncing rays to try to figure out how audio bounces around a room, that's actually more interesting to me than the graphics part, is how they're going to handle. AI could even use that. Like, dude, fighting, let's say, a blind character, and that character's using ray tracing to figure out where you are by bouncing of the sounds,
Dude,
Gears
passing of
covered
lights,
some of this. Yeah. Or, imagine,
no, cool.
Dude, that's a lot of dudes. But imagine ray tracing where like you block a light and maybe that does something where it's rendered or where it's like calculated correctly versus just a beam of light. There's all kinds of stuff we could do.
Now I want them to do stuff with Alan Wake 3 where they
I
utilize,
knew that's where I was going too.
Where they utilize the path tracing to have the flashlight glare enemies in certain ways or something. Hopefully they improve upon the combat and enemy stuff. But that especially games built around like that mechanic for sure.
You played Jasant, right? The climbing game? Because Coolaban says, I don't know if Jasant has ray tracing, but man, the lighting is amazing. So does that have ray tracing?
No, but the lighting is amazing. Yeah. It's not ray traced. I don't think, but there's no setting that says ray tracing.
It looks, and that's the great thing. Like, we'll continue to get artists who do that. I'm hoping that nobody sees the once ray tracing gets more computationally efficient. I hope people don't aim for that.
You can go
as
to
their
the
bottom
average
rung.
person and get like raster, an image with like raster lighting and screen space reflection and be like, hey, look at ray tracing. And they'd be like, oh my God.
Or they'd be like, show me what's actually changed.
Yeah.
I have a couple friends who will be playing a game and, I'll notice it just right in front of me. Right there. And you tell them, and they're just like, what? What? And it's like, right there, dude. Don't you see that? So, or frame rate. I'll get somebody where, to me, variable frame rate kills my stomach a little bit. You get like 35, 60, 35, 60. That's way worse to me than 30. Lock that shit at 30. And we'll be playing a game, and it'll be like, meh, 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 or frame timing's bad. They'll be playing Bloodborne, and I'm like, dude, I can't even watch you play this fucking game. Like, the frame pacing is terrible.
Dude, I guess people in general were way more lax back in the day. Like back in like
low refresh TVs.
It was like 2014, low refresh TV.
Yeah,
I was playing Bloodborne and I didn't even think about any before I bought that's before I even built my my PC in 2015 with like a good graphics card and stuff. I didn't even frame rate wasn't a word I said. It wasn't a thing I even said. Like it wasn't anything. Input lag, or not even input lag, like a hitch. I brush it off. It's like, oh, frame dropped a little. Like I don't even think about it. It's like, oh,
that's why even when I review games now, it has to be like a sustained thing, or I mention it as an other thing, because I do know that a lot of gamers out there, I mean, people in our chat are people who know the channel or whatever. But if you start talking to people outside of it, and I make sure I'm a part of that LAN group I always talk about, and they have like 2,000 people, and half of them, man, they just don't even talk. They're like, what? Drops a frame. It's like trying to cater to both groups. But the same thing does happen with ray tracing too, because Control, there are times where you're playing Control, and if you have all that off, it actually, I think at times looks a little better than if you have it on. So there's times where they do such a good job because they're worried you won't have ray tracing on your card, that a lot of times I sort of even though it's muted, I mean, I can agree that, things look a little bit more vibrant, but there's times where I'm like, I sort of dig we worked on this look versus we just are doing a graphics pass on this look.
But so I just remembered a thing as well about that frame rate thing. When I was a kid, there was one thing I explicitly remember is like getting Call of Duty. I think it was like Modern Warfare 2 or something, and just playing it and be like, why is this game faster than all the other games?
Oh,
What is the thing about it that makes it faster? And I couldn't like find a word for it. But yeah, with Control, there's also a lot of like you can say like there's a lot of like stylistic choice because the
yeah,
game
very
is
much
very
so.
stylish.
Mhm.
It's like has a lot of style, and it is like a muted kind of like corporate, like
Yeah,
Arasaka, like very
yeah,
square and stuff like that. So yeah,
yeah.
maybe that has
They're
something to do
going
with
for
it.
the gray, like the overall, like the monolithic building that
Sure.
sort of reminds you of like corporate America kind of stuff at
Yeah,
first, at
the
least, and then things go
board.
nuts. But the board, yeah, I mean
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's why, and I think they're awesome. That's why I'm not too
Yeah,
worried about them. But I think that
yeah.
some others, and it's just a worry that I mean I'm not going to be able to tell because I won't know what the developer chose. But I just think
Mm,
that behind the scenes, somebody may say, "Oh, let's just do this," or what have you.
yeah.
We'll just have to see. Half the games I play on console look better in performance mode than quality. Um, I I don't know why. I think for the most part, people are nailing quality and performance mode, but I guess there's probably games where maybe
I don't know about games looking better, but
it
there are
feel
games where I can't
better, I
tell the
guess.
difference.
Or can't,
They
yeah, where
feel
you switch
better.
them.
Is there a
Did
case? Is there a case where like if a game feels like better or like 60 FPS, it looks better to you, like just subconsciously or
no,
something?
no.
No,
If it
unless you
can feel
pause it,
better.
like
It can feel better with
it
like
can feel
VRR.
better,
It can feel better at
but
40, 50,
but
60
not look
frames.
better
I haven't seen
because
one
of
where you
frame
turn
rate.
on right, not look better. Mm-mm. I mean, I guess you could say there might be one where there's an animation that might look weird at 30, but most
Sure,
I would say
but
that
like a
doesn't
still
happen.
image wouldn't obviously.
Yeah,
Like if you just take a still image, but like maybe subconsciously like the feeling of like it being smoother
that can happen. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But
make it look better for you.
look, I mean, somebody may have also screwed up their settings on quality and performance where maybe they're putting more foliage but less detailed on performance,
Yeah.
and in quality it's less, but it's really that could I could see somebody looking at that and being like, "Oh, that's an odd choice to make." But every dev has to choose for how they're going to, fulfill all of their technical specs.
Sure.
It's a
Yeah.
good question, but luckily I don't think we've seen that. I'm amazed at what a monster year Switch is having. Yeah, dude, Switch
Yeah, what the
Platinum,
fuck?
dude.
Out of
Yeah, dude.
nowhere.
I
Out
know,
of
yeah,
nowhere.
right? Like, I mean, they've had good years, but this
Sure.
year's awesome.
Yeah, and I have
man.
yet to. I'm gonna grab Mario RPG probably like tomorrow or something. I'm excited.
I think
Yeah.
Mario RPG will wow you less. It's a
Then
good,
Wonder?
yeah, because like I gotta admit, Wonder came out of the blue. I couldn't even tell what it was at first for the couple months prior. Like I was like, "What is Mario Wonder?" Because it didn't really attach to the other games I was expecting. But man, yeah, they did an awesome
I just
job.
love those. I love the mechanics they have for those
In
Mario
Wonder?
RPG games.
Oh, in RPG.
No, for those.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you press a button on the right time to like jump more or like do something or like defend. I like that mechanic.
Yeah, those are very fun. I will say that this is just after the 55th thousandth time of
Is it a
defending
big?
yourself by pressing B, that
Yeah.
does get a little bit like I get it.
True.
There's stuff that you can do to mitigate that, but
Is
overall,
it a big game?
no. I mean, not in like the terms of
20,
Zelda.
30 hours?
Yeah, not in the terms of Zelda. What was Zelda? Like Breath of
Oh,
the
I don't
Wild
know.
or
I have 200 hours in that game and I'm not done.
in Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not that
That
long.
game can run along that. But like, no, like 60. Would you say like it's a 30-hour?
Less than
Mario
30. I
RPG?
think it was like 21. Well, there's
fair,
two
that's good.
difficulties, easy and somewhat easy or something like that. And I died I died more times than I expected in an RPG, Mario RPG. I will admit that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if you are not prepared for some of the battles, and some of the enemies leap and stuff, and I was trying to run past them. I mean, I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to fight this guy. And I would run past them, and I admittedly, just wasn't prepared and got smoked or didn't have a raise because you get these items that allow you to raise the dead. And there were a couple times where I was trying to, power through an area.
Phoenix
and,
Downs. Yeah.
Yeah, and luckily their saves are pretty tight. Their saves are pretty tight.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about
That's
it too
cool.
much. But I think with RPG, oh, we will talk about Space Marine in a second. I think with RPG, of all of these games, RPG is the shortest, I think. When you consider, like, it depends on how you play it. You know, there, you can also skip some stuff, or you can, you know, not worry about grinding up. Because you can also grind in that, too. Which, I admit, man, I think my years of grinding are over.
Yeah,
I think they're done,
like, especially
dude.
with turn-based games, like I just it gets tiring to just like press A, attack, kill. Like, I think Dragon like a Dragon did me in with that, with like just so much I don't like easy fights in those turn-based games.
Yeah.
This is like some of the reason why I like Baldur's Gate 3, for example, turn-based system, or XCOM or something, is because every fight has like it could be tactical and shit. Like, it's not just a attack. Because usually with JRPGs, you get all these cool abilities, like buffs and debuffs and especially those debuffs and CCs, where it's like you don't really need to use them at like trash enemies, but you can't use them at bosses. It's like, what the, like, what are
Why
you
are
doing?
they?
You know what I mean? They have to be really good with that. Yeah,
I think we talked about this also with MMOs, where I always get confused when I play an MMO for a long time, and let's say I have Fire Arc, and then I have Fire Cycle, and then I have Fire Globe, and they're all just slightly different, and I'm always the guy confused about which one I'm supposed to use. Or should I hot tab only one of those? You know, especially I was doing Knights of the Old Republic here recently, and one of the characters has, like, you know, fire for effect, and it hits everybody and possibly stuns them. Then the other one's like hits a couple less guys and somewhat stuns them. And then the other one's like hits less guys, doesn't stun them. And I'm like, why wouldn't I just choose the middle? Like, I get a little confused sometimes on when skills are supposed to be used. And that definitely happened with Baldur's Gate, where some of them I'm like, I don't know. And also their HUD sucks balls.
Oh yeah, the
Remember
UI,
when you with your mouse you slide to the side and you're like, I have 25 more moves. What's going on?
Dude,
like
the thing that killed me
terrible.
the most, like, I want every RPG. I think all the CRPGs, like Pillars, Wasteland had it. Like, just let me the dragging. I want to drag my characters and move them. I want to, like, whoever I want to, like a RTS. Like, that's how I like to control them, and just you know, ungrouping and grouping, and like, I want these two grouped and these two grouped. Motherfucker, dude, that shit was.
Remember, Silver had his own, you know, back and forth with the game. Some stuff I guess he hadn't figured out, and some stuff he had, and he had his own issues. I would say it doesn't control like a lot of other. It doesn't control exactly like other CRPGs, and that can be confusing at first. There's definitely, you know, where you try to drag or you try to do a certain thing, and you're like, what? Why is this not working exactly the way it should? Still a great game. I just think their HUDs sort of sucks balls. I think it's too big. In fact, maybe it would be nice. I don't know if they patch this in, but it would be nice to be able to really shrink it up. I think there was the ability to shrink up the HUD, if I remember. Was there ability to actually like minimize, to basically demagnify the HUD? You know?
There was. You can add bars
but can you make the pictures smaller and stuff, like legitimately, like
a scaler?
Yeah, like a scaler.
I couldn't find. I wish.
I don't think there was.
I don't remember. Maybe they patched it in. But there are mods that are very good.
Yeah, there'll be mods that'll fix all that. Actually, I had stated we would talk about Warhammer, but I think we already did, which is that it's delayed, and I think
and it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good. We got a couple other questions, super chats.
Yes.
Hang on one second. Let me ask if this is real or not. Let me ask the person who clicked. Oh, it is. Okay. Arthur67 says, Karak or Jeremy, this is Arthur from school. Not sure if you remember me. We used to play tetherball and play King of the Hill on the monkey bars every recess. You still rocking the Def Leppard shirt and the Hang Loose t-shirts? I don't have either one of those. I think I have a Def Leppard shirt around here somewhere. Just want to say hi. My wife listens to gaming podcasts, kept talking about her favorite guy, this loud dude from Oregon. And there you are. I'm a software engineer, 2 kids, and another cooking up. Congratulations on everything we watch weekly. Thank you very much. I do remember, Arthur. I think I've talked about you couple years ago.
Wait, he's a kid that used to play tetherball with you, and now
in
he
school.
found out his wife watches you. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I mean, that's what he's saying. Yeah, he's probably just doesn't want to admit that his wife was like, "Who's this really loud guy? I hate him." And then he's like, "I know him." But no, I appreciate it, man. That was awesome. I'm glad you're doing well too. I always get a little nervous whenever I read those. It's not somebody setting me up for like failure, where they're like, "I fucking hate you." But luckily, that was not the way it was. Let's see. Brock and Stuffy, how much is the most money you've ever spent on games? Or we'll go with just games. He says games, a game system. But how much is the most money you've ever spent on games in one go? So like gone to the store and bought 2 games, bought a premium edition. What's the most you've ever spent?
Like in one
one go. You go to the store and you buy 3 games, or you bought 2 games, or you bought a
or
premium.
maybe on a Steam cart,
or on Steam. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I said physical.
Maybe. Let me check my.
I can answer mine right away.
Let me check my.
I got the Sega Saturn, and the Sega Saturn had a couple games, and I bought all the Sega Saturn games that were there. And I think when Sega released that Saturn 6 months early, they had like very few games out, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6. But I bought them all.
Look at my purchase history.
6 times 3, $180 is probably the most I've ever spent.
Why can't I sort by price?
Is it Steam?
600?
Woo!
Yeah, Steam. Okay, I see $80. No, that's just one game. Oh my god, that's a lot of game. Oh, just $4 for
Chicken
so
Wing
many...
says Rock Band.
Oh
he
yeah,
bought
Rock Band.
Yeah, Rock Band, right? Because Rock Band.
Yeah,
what was Rock Band?
Guitar Hero 5.
120s for Rock Band, or was it 180? Or was it in the 90s for Rock Band?
$60. It was. I don't even remember. I don't see anything above $100 in my whole purchase history. Let me do a Control F.
Yeah, I would say for games for me, because we're not talking about hardware or whatever, for games, it would be that Sega Saturn purchase. That's I think old days going into the store was probably.
Yeah, going into the store, I remember
releases.
Going into the store buying like a bunch of shit, not games, like buying like a bunch of like controller and games and system all at once.
Did
but
you
games
ever
alone?
Alone, you didn't. I was just gonna say, did you ever go in? And so you never went in and like were playing on one game and another game got released or whatever, and you bought 2 or 3?
Yeah, no, I have. Yeah, for sure. I've been to the store and gone like more than one game for sure. Yeah, 2 or 3 games.
Okay,
yeah,
what's
yeah,
your
yeah,
biggest
that's
library,
happened.
not including PC? So all your consoles, which one did you spend the most on software for?
Without PC?
Without PC. So PlayStation 1, 2, Xbox, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3,
It's
PlayStation
gotta
5.
be the 360. Like there were so many games I had for 360, just so many games, dude. There was a lot of games, and back in the day, like games would just keep coming out.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess this year as well, but there's just so many random games, and I didn't have like, I wasn't as like right now. I know what I want, or like I watch a review, or like I know what I'm looking forward to. And back in the day, I just go to the store and see all these like covers, and I'd look at something like Technomancer, and I'm like, oh my god, this looks so cool. What is this? And I just buy it. You know what I mean? And I just did that for a lot of games back in the day. 360, yeah,
for sure.
Be the one. Either
Dreamcast
PS4
maybe is close.
or 360. Yeah, that generation. God, I played a lot of games. I don't
know about you. I didn't return them either. So if they weren't good, so I would go in and I would get like 2 or 3 360 games a week, and I never returned. If it was bad, I'd just be like, well, I screwed that up. This game is not great.
Back in the day, I didn't even like, even if a game was bad, like it's a game, dude. I would still enjoy it to some extent.
You'd still play it to some extent, even if it was bad.
I don't remember. Yeah, like I could remember Alone in the Dark, where I got to the second half and being like, "Oh my god, what the hell is this?" But aside from that, I'm trying to think of like a game back in the day where I got it and I put it in and I played it. And I'm like, "Oh fuck, this game! It's so bad." I don't think I've had that much.
I think for me, the one game I really remember is Brute Force, which was supposed to be a Halo killer. And we all knew it wasn't going to be, because like it didn't make a lot of sense, but it was a big push PR-wise, and we got that, and that was revolting, man. And we still beat it. We still beat it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you still beat them.
Yeah,
I remember one.
Dude, yeah. Go ahead.
I remember one. What was that like Viking kind of weird twin stick ish? Like you used your sticks.
Too human, my friend.
Too
Too
human. I was like,
human.
damn, this is a
Oh
bad
God,
game.
that's another game. Yeah, I
Oh
agree.
shit,
Too human.
dude.
And Cadiz
That
loves that
was a
game.
game.
Sorry, Cadiz, but that dude, I
What?
remember we got that and I was playing it and I
Yeah.
noped out of that really fast. Like the first time he
Yeah.
ice skated across the floor and I did an attack and it was automatic. Remember, you would like hold the joystick and he would just swing his hand. It was just like, this is fucking terrible, man. Oh,
Dude.
oh man, that looked like it could have been so amazing too. Tech, because I love the idea of like futuristic Vikings and future, the gods and the techno all mixed together, and it was shit.
Yeah,
man.
because I was so looking for because yeah, like you said, Techno Vikings, dude.
Yeah.
I'm looking for my old gamer tag just to see just to try to remember if there's like any games I actually dislike that I bought. I think another one, I think it was 360, is I went to the game store, and that's before like knowledge about games, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I
Yeah.
I saw like a really cool because I judged games by the cover. Okay, I
Yeah,
judged books by the cover. I don't give
yeah.
a fuck.
Of course. Of
And I
course.
looked at a really dope looking cover, which was Final Fantasy 11. And mind you, I was a young kid at the time, and I didn't use my dad's credit card. Like he wouldn't let me use his credit card or anything. So I got, other than like, I begged him to enable Xbox Live for me. I begged him, and it worked. But I got Final Fantasy 11 from the store, and I was so excited because I looked at it and I looked at and I guess I didn't read anything about like subscription because they didn't put any where that you
Oh.
needed a subscription.
Yeah.
I put it in, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited to dig into this world, online world, whatever. And the first thing I get greeted with is, welcome to your trial. After 30 days, you're gonna start paying a subscription. I'm like, fuck you. But I never
What did
returned
you
it.
do? Did you play it and then hint to your dad that like I invested time, I need your credit card to pay for the subscription, or did you just play your 30 days and then
No, I knew it was out of the question. I just played I played like a week, 2 weeks. Yeah, I played like 30. Yeah, I played for the whole month actually. And then I was like, oh well, that my time's up.
my dad had a pressure limit and you could ask him for something
Okay.
and if you
Sure.
asked him, you might get it, but you better not ask again in a
Yeah.
short period of time. It was like
Yes.
a fucking life
You
gauge
need to
on an enemy.
refactoring.
Yeah, you had to like hit the timer perfect. And I remember one time I wanted a bicycle part and I wanted a game. And I asked him for the game first, and it was a shit game.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Oh,
I'm
you
just going to
fucked up.
try. Yeah, it was a
fucked up.
long drive, and my dad was really good at silences. He was great. And
Sometimes
I asked him, and he was like,
Yeah.
I just got you this blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess I don't need it. And it was fucking nothing for 3 hours all the way to Bend, Oregon. And I was
Yeah.
just like, it was the worst. I should have waited till we were getting out of the car. Like, you're a kid. You just ask right away. I was an idiot. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
It's sometimes my dad would feel guilty for like grounding me or something because I think at the time like they caught me smoking a cigarette as a kid or some shit
Mm.
like that, and I got grounded, and then I don't know what happened. I just remember clearly like I was grounded, um, and I was going to like I used to game in my dad's game room. Like I would like because my dad had like this game room that I would like hog. And he came and had this like long talk with me about like smoking bad, blah blah blah, even though he smokes. But no, obviously like I was like 14 or something at the
Yeah.
time. And and I was like, and it was around the time Halo 3 launched, and he went like this, and he was like, and he just like picked and he just like showed it. He's like it was like the limited edition or whatever, and I was like, oh my god.
You mean
And
so he
one of my
sort of
favorite
felt bad
things-
for maybe
I don't know.
think it was a guilt buy?
I don't know if it was a guilt or if it's just like he knows that I've been like I love Halo so much, and we played like all of them in split screen or
Yeah.
whatever together. And he was just like he popped it out, and it was like the happiest grounding of my life. But one of my favorite things back in the day, God, one of my favorite things is just no knowledge of games. Maybe I read a magazine, no knowledge, going into the game store, looking at a cover, buying the game, and on the way back home, dude, opening the game and just like opening the manual and shit, dude, and just like flipping through and covers, man, they were so cool, and you'd get those blurbs and information and looking at the art and stuff, dude.
My mom and dad didn't ground me too much, but they learned pretty quick not to ground me to my room because my room was my favorite place. So it was like books D&D books and
Yeah.
stuff. And I remember my
Yeah.
dad, I've told you this, but like when he learned that I didn't like to mow the lawn, that became the thing. And you'd be mowing the lawn all the time, and
Sure.
I'd be out there cussing and pissed. And I remember I've only smoked twice in my life. And my parents had, I don't know what you would call it, but an air humidifier, I guess, for smoking in the house. We're talking like 80s, 90s. And
Sure.
it would suck the air. And my brother wanted to try a cigarette, so he smoked like a little bit. It was terrible, by the way. I don't know why anybody smokes. Fucking ludicrous, man.
It's disgusting.
Dude, it only took me 2 tries to be like, this is the worst fucking ever. And I
Yeah.
breathed in, and blew it into the thing. The little air humidifier went off, whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't like that. We put it
Yeah.
away. My mom and dad came home. And I don't know about your mom and dad, but my mom and dad were supernaturally smart about everything. And I don't know, maybe
Yep.
I had a tell. But my mom and dad, and they could probably smell smokes too, but it was a smoky, they smoked indoors at that time. So it's like, I don't know how they figured it out. But my mom and dad were just like, all right, man. My dad goes, hey, come outside for a second. And I thought they had got me something at the store because sometimes they would buy a little trinket or whatever. And the fucking lawnmower was right in the driveway and the gas can was next to it. And I remember looking at it and he's like, we can tell you smoked. I still, to this day, I used to joke with my brother and go, did they just set us up? Did they know, or did they want to see if we were going to defend ourselves? But I just grabbed the lawnmower. I was like, okay, fuck it, whatever.
That is
I'm just gonna mow.
hilarious.
Yeah,
just the fact that you were expecting that they got you something.
I
dude.
did, yeah. I went out there because he'd buy me like a GoBot, or whenever they went to the store, it would be something small. It'd be like a $5, little Matchbox toy or something like that. So I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get a toy, whatever. And it was just a lawnmower sitting, and it didn't matter if it was 3 fucking a.m. Dad would be like, you can mow the lawn with a flashlight. He was one of those guys, and you're just like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I still, like I said, I don't know, man. I think my parents were really good at guessing. We probably would have done stuff, and my brother was way worse than me, but he talked me into a lot of shit. Like, he definitely, you'd just go along with him because I was younger. So I'd be like, all right, let's do it. And whatever it was we did, we would always get caught. My parents had probably 100% rate of catching us on shit. I used to always be like, oh man, I'm so smart, nobody's going to catch me. I think sometimes my parents just ignored it, though.
My mom just knew the perfect moments to walk in on me watching porn.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, right. Because I didn't have a VCR or anything in my room. I get you. So that she would like
That was around
something
the
was up.
time of LimeWire.
Oh, gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Were your parents like what, anti-porn or anti-whatever?
Well, no. Well, my mom. My mom.
Old school,
I mean, not
let's
really
say.
because my dad has a ton.
Yeah, right.
I always stole. I always stole. My mom
Mm.
knew, and she knew we had channels and stuff.
Yeah.
We had I remember in the 90s we had channels out. But to a little kid, she definitely cried and stuff when
Oh, did she?
she found out I was watching porn. Yeah, because I started very young. I started watching very young. I started looking at.
I think
Dude, I was
everybody's
a horny
dad
kid
had a
in kindergarten.
Well, I mean, I know that some people probably didn't, but everybody, you always hear the story about somebody playing doctor or whatever. I distinctly remember somebody much older than me, certainly not in their 20s or anything, but I was young and she was much older, and I still remember messing around with her. And then as I grew up going, that was a pretty big age difference on that, But
yeah,
my parents never, that wasn't a thing. It was impossible. There was no TV in my room. I remember I got a TV, I think it was my sophomore, senior year, and it only did the prongs for antennas. And it had S-video, I believe. So the only thing you could even run through it was a Sega Genesis or a Sega Master System. Yeah, there was no, and as far as I know, there's no porn on those. But there was no porn on them. So it's like my parents never, I mean, there was not, they would come in my room. I think the door was always open, and my parents were pretty cool because they had a rough older brother. So I think my parents also were just like, hey, he's not killing
right. You
anybody.
had a little. Yeah, I'm the older.
You're the older, and I think that parents take a while to learn, and then the kid takes a while.
My little brother got the shit though.
Oh, did he? So he got
more.
He got more shit than you did?
No. I mean, my little brother wasn't. I was a very daring kid. I did a lot of crazy shit and bad stuff. But I still had straight A's.
Yeah.
My brother's the opposite. He was a very, very innocent kid. Didn't do anything bad. but had very bad grades.
Oh, academics
So
weren't on point. Yeah.
yeah. So like I'm the smart troublemaker. He's the dumb innocent guy, basically.
I still remember. Also, as always, I got the mouth that gets me in trouble. And when my brother, I've told you the story, but when my brother lit our work truck on fire, it was an accident. It's not as like crazy as it sounds. Well, it is crazy, but it's like he lit it on fire. He comes in, and I remember he was in trouble, and I, just as always, man, I had to have the last word. And my mom and dad grounded him, and I was like, ha ha. And my dad, dude, it was instant. It was instant. It was like he already knew I was going to do it. I go, hey, and my dad goes, you're grounded too. And it was like, fuck. You know, it's just that stupid stuff you do as a kid where you react to something dumb. Your parents are just on top of it. And I think some, especially parents with an older son, depending on their age frame, they learn a little bit. You know, they learn what to expect. But I do think there's if like academics are one thing, I do think parents get pretty stressed when somebody has bad academics when maybe another child doesn't, and they're trying to figure out like what they did. Because a lot of parents will take that personal. They'll be like, whoa, you know, why is this kid, is it something we're doing? Are we letting them get away with what have you? I was lucky. I had really good grades. So I think, I think
exactly.
in all my life, I got a C one time.
That was the thing. Yeah, me too. That was the thing. That was the one thing that like, I think the reason why I didn't get too harsh of like punishments, or
It's
like
because of the good grades.
why like my dad kept not like, he kept like letting me have like not everything I wanted. Obviously, I wasn't like a crazy spoiled kid, but like I had consoles, I had games and stuff like that. Is because I was on top of my grades at least.
Yeah.
So it was still, there was still that.
If I had a kid, I think that'd be the one thing I worried about. Not because I'm worried about like business and in the future, because it can matter, but it also, we've seen people do well that, like, let's say failed out of school. We've also seen it pay off. But I think as a parent, that's one thing I would always worry about is like, am I smart enough to school my child in some, for example, math? Dude, even I was not smart enough for math. My senior year, math was rough.
Math
or
was
maybe
my
it was a year
favorite subject.
prior. Was it your favorite? It was.
Math and physics. Yeah.
Dude, I still remember we had a bad teacher. I love him, by the way.
That was the thing.
He was our computer teacher, and he was great.
Yeah.
He was our math teacher, and he was the worst. It was right out of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he'd be like, today we're going to do geometry. And I was sitting there going, my brain didn't work. Like, I remember going home and going, I have no clue what we're talking about at all.
We had such an amazing math teacher. It was so engaging.
That'd be awesome.
And he was very smart to the point where before every single test, in like grade 11 and 12, we were taking like IB. Before every single major test, he'd have one question. And if you got that question right, you got 100% on the test.
You got 100%. Yeah.
It was like one difficult question that like showed that you hadn't understand. That's how good he was. But the parent thing, I think it's also the fact that like we grew up poor, but then at some point, like my dad started doing well, so it started becoming like it was like a switch where it's like, oh, now I think that like had something to do with both my troublemaking tendencies and my good grades or something like that, or like, just having stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I know where my desire to do a bunch of shit comes from, and that's also because we did really well some years, and because he was a fish plant, and then some years I remember I was just telling Cadiz when we were on a walk, I was like, I knew when it was a bad year when I would get ready for school and my mom would count out the money to get 6 shirts, and the reason why is so you didn't repeat in the same week. That's how I knew we were having a bad year. And that would be all your school stuff. You'd always have just 1 pair of jeans or 2 pair of jeans, and you would wash those. But I remember one time going, and she was like, you can get 6 shirts so that your Saturday shirt, you can like start the next Monday with a shirt you've never worn before because it doesn't look, because they weren't worried about that. But I think even they knew as a kid you might get teased if, you were wearing the same stuff. And that's how I knew. I was like, oh, we're having a really bad year. Because, it wasn't expensive shirts either. As whatever Arthur said, it was like a hang loose t-shirt or whatever. It was only probably a $5 t-shirt. I did want to answer.
That's also part of the. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, that was also part of the reason why I just. In school, like there was a lot of people that loved to like, show off the new things, that they got, or like those fucking Billabong shirts or Quicksilver or whatever the fuck, or or like their watches and shit.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I also just like I like it cringes me when I show anything off, or like being like, hey, look what I have. Like that was like especially if I didn't earn it myself or something, like it was like the worst. Yeah.
I think that's where my like get something to work 80% as good as the expensive thing and I'll be happy came from, because my dad is a fisherman. He'd be like, well, a fishing pole is a fishing pole. You don't need the $500 fishing pole.
Yeah.
You can get it if you want that extra thing, but you have to work for it. But here's the $2 stick with a string on it. You got to figure out how to fish first. And so it's like, as I got older, I started to see, oh, I can get 3 things if, let's say, I don't buy the most expensive 2 things. And so then I started figuring it out, going, oh, well, this works just as well. This is almost as good. I'll use that. And over time, I mean, that's sort of how even games, after a while, I would be like, well, I can buy the $60 game. But there's these two $30 games that are pretty cool too. And you'd be like, that might be twice the fun. Or what if one's bad? Well, you only spent $30 on that. The other $30 one might be good. And then as you get older, it is funny. Joe says, why does ACG always looks like he sniffs 2 lines of Coke before the podcast? All love. It is funny that I get that a lot of times. And I'm the one really strict anti-drug person in our entire group. I do get that a lot though. Even when I like go back and see people at school, they'll be like, just beer or whatever, but people say that,
like not even alcohol. Do you drink? No, you caffeine, right? Like you
caffeine, but no. I mean, occasionally I was trying to use it to go to sleep here recently, because I was trying to figure. I was trying. But I have a allergy to it, so I have to take a pill to not.
Okay.
It was ridiculous, so I was just like, whatever, it's not working. But no drugs, no any. I don't really like the feeling of. Even caffeine, if you get too much, I do drink a lot of caffeine, but if you've ever got the jitters from caffeine, I get it from Yohimbe. We've talked about this before.
Oh my God.
That stuff can die in a fire, man. That is the worst. I remember we were working out and Jimmy, my friend, was like, hey man, try this. It might give you energy. And it was probably what everybody else says caffeine does to them, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, maybe. That was the jitter, the anxiety
and the
you get
anxiety, from it. Because I'm not an anxious person, and I was almost puzzled by the feeling. Yeah, dude, that shit. That stuff should be taken off of like GNC shelves or whatever. I don't know what that stuff is, but
I'm the same way now because back in college I used to do a lot of different things, but like ever since I think like 2020. No, not 2020. Sorry, like 2016. I just hated anything affecting like my mental state, in such a way like methamphetamines and stuff like Adderall and shit. Like, because I used to do that like before tests and like cranking studying and all that shit.
Did you find out that those?
And I got prescribed it too. I got prescribed like 5 months, and I just never take them. Yeah, I hate it.
Robert Jones, $5 super chat. This is an awesome post. He says, going from school with uniforms to one without uniforms is how I learned I was poor. Dude. I had not thought about that, but that is ridiculous. The idea of like it's delivered to you, or maybe your parents pay, but you get a uniform, and then going to one where everybody's trying to dress differently, and like high school being that place of individuality. I
went from actually a segregated like boys girls, like it was a school which had like a boys side and a girls side, and it was all uniforms, into like a school with no uniforms and like mixed and everything, and it was like night and day.
Dude, I still think Yakuza beating up kids is one of my favorite things in the world.
Dude, it was like it's such a refreshing, because like you'd get sometimes those games or those shows or whatever, and you'd see like those bullies and stuff, and all you want is for the protagonist to just punch them in the face, but they never do because they're kids or something. And then that game just like gave you the satisfaction.
You just brought a huge thing up into my mind. So, yes, every movie where there's a bully or whatever, and you're like, why doesn't this person beat the shit out of the guy or whatever? Imagine in the future when games are so advanced, they're using like neural rendering or whatever, or shows where you're just able to say, please punch this guy in the face, and he does it. Because all those movies like Rudy, or, well, not Rocky, I was going to say Rocky, but those movies where somebody like gets beat down and they accept it, or they're bullied or whatever, and you just are like, what would happen if he got shivved? Wouldn't that be amazing if this dude
Wouldn't that be the
came
best?
at him with a knife and just knifed him in the neck? Now, again, I'm talking about in movie form or game form. I think that would be awesome. And did you see that NVIDIA said within 8 generations they believe neural rendering will be the thing? Because they've already shown one demo of neural rendering, which is nuts, with no game engine.
How would that work?
No game engine. You basically align the assets and you do almost like a scripting, almost like describing a story, and the game renders it on its own without a game engine. It's
Like through AI or deep learning or something?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh,
Can you believe that?
man.
I think they said 8. I could be wrong. Anybody listening, if you know what I'm talking about, you can tell me if I'm wrong on the number. 8 or 12.
Would that be like anyone can think up of something and just like manifest it?
That is what I'm thinking. That is what I'm thinking. Yeah, is that it would be something like that. I mean, dude, we're already there with AI with some stuff, so it's like it doesn't
make
feel
me
like
a game
it's
now.
I know.
You know,
It's that's to me is everybody hates AI. It's like I get it,
Sure.
but you got to be prepped because it's here. You're fucked. Like it's out. It's here. Game over. You need to figure out a way around it. But did you watch me freaking out? I did not know there was a WoW AI voice mod.
you see that?
I didn't know that.
So good.
I think you sent me you sent me GTA. I think, or you might have posted it.
I sent you something. I posted.
This is WoW, and it's good
dude,
voices, Abzy.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, dude, the journal guy is like,
Carnage.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god, it's so good. And I was like, I'm sorry, guys, you're gonna have to figure out because I want that. I will play WoW now because of that. By the way, like,
Dude,
sure.
dude, it's so funny because I was watching Carnage and he has that mod on, and it's his first time playing WoW, and he's going and talking to a dwarf, and they take, I guess because they say one voice, like they take one because they say one sentence like hello or something like that, or like nice to meet you, and they take that and they sound so good, like they say the whole quest log, right? And it sounds so
sexy.
Good. That's like a good use of AI, man.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, and I get. So that's a game that's out, didn't have voice lines, and they were never going to do it. And so I think, as far as I know, I haven't seen any voice actors attacking that. But people need to be prepared, man, because AI is coming for my job, your job, everybody's job. You're going to have to be prepared, and it's out. It doesn't matter what conglomerate gets together. China's not going to listen. Like, I don't know what people are even thinking. Like, what are you talking about? It would be like us saying, all right, prohibition, no alcohol. Okay, no one's going to peddle alcohol. It's like, no, instead, everybody's peddling alcohol who you don't want to peddle alcohol. They're the exact group you don't want having it. That's what's happening with AI. You're going to have bad actors using it, But I want to see these games, dude. It was great. The WoW, he read the journal. There was some undead, I think. And the video guy said he didn't like it. I personally thought it was the best one. But it was like this ghoul talking about Ogamar or something, and I was just like, it's everything I'd ever dreamed of. Oh
yeah, dude, like that, like it doesn't, like, even how it is today, it wouldn't necessarily just completely replace voice acting. I think games that already don't use voice actors and only have text, they could be used there, right? And that would make everyone.
And you're going to have the social signaling where people are mad about it. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. You're going to have the social signaling where people are mad about a game and they say you should have hired an actor and that person's got $12, and so they ran Chat GPT one time. It's like there is no equivalent there. There's no. We have to adjust. Ooh, Homefront. Oh, Red Eye Bucker says Homefront the game. I thought you were saying you liked Homefront because that's actually one of my favorite games. Homefront 2: The Revolution. I played that with you and Takedown, didn't I? The co-op, Homefront.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we played that like 4 years ago.
That
maybe.
one was like the PvE multiplayer that we did. That was
that was actually.
I never actually played the campaign.
Dude, it's a good campaign. You're missing out. It is. I know. Speaking of average games, I think that is in that 70s to 80s. Do we have anything else? What are we at? 3 hours, 10 minutes? Anybody in chat, you got any questions? Anything last you want to ask us? I have a cool question. I want to ask them, and then you say whatever you want. I asked ChatGPT for some questions, and one, they said, this is the impact of gaming on society. How do you think overall games have impacted society and culture? So that's for chat. How have games impacted society and culture? Whether you think it's violence, whether you think it's not, whether you think it's understanding, because now all of us can use the shorthand of talking about GTA. What were you going to say, Absy? Did I interrupt you?
This question is for chat, not for us.
That's for chat, though. If you want to answer, feel free. Do you think it's changed culture, or?
It's definitely changed culture. Well, I can think of like I mean,
violence.
Violence? Nah. I don't think it added like violence or anything. I think I've seen. Okay, so there's this one thing where obviously there's like a lot of dumbasses online now, like just like fighting for companies.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it happens as much like for movies and actors, or maybe it does happens for sports teams and shit like that. But the PS versus Xbox stupid shit, for sure. I've seen this like I was watching a lot of, there's this whole YouTube which has a whole playlist of experts reacting. So like an ex mafia reacting to Mafia 1, Mafia 2. I was
those are great.
Watching that all day. And one of them was an military guy, Navy SEALs guy, reacting to Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, like one of the old ones. And he grew up playing them. So he was like, oh, soap, and he knows everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally said, yeah, Modern Warfare was the reason he got into the army.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. Do you feel like shooters kind of made people better at no, right? Did shooters make people better at handling guns or something, or like giving them a little bit of understanding about guns more so than
like Meg releases, I'm absolutely sure there's at least one, but there's probably even more than that, obviously, where somebody's definitely picked up the idea. And I can tell you, I've learned tactics from like military shooter games where they talk about it, and you just wouldn't have read it in a book. You wouldn't have, they wouldn't have explained it in a show because they're just showing the show. But a game has to have you understand it, so it explains it, and so therefore there's a chance you learned it. But yeah, I think the idea of somebody going to the military because of Call of Duty doesn't surprise me, because I know a lot of people who became boxers because of Rocky. I know people who joined the military because of Rambo. And it wasn't that they wanted to be Rambo. It was that they found something enticing about a military life. By the way, I don't know. Have you ever seen Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah.
So that is a very depressing overall story of the military, and I have friends who joined the military after watching that and Biloxi Blues, which is Matthew Broderick, and they're both sad movies. So yeah. I mean,
they like getting yelled at.
Well, I know, and the military life where some people hate it, but I know. I mean, one of my best friends is still in the military, and he loves. He's not even he's somewhat in command now, but he likes the regiment, the idea, and he's married. He's got kids, but he loves the idea of somebody like where he knows he's going and the rank and file. He doesn't like chaos, even though he can handle it because he has been in an ambush before. He can handle stuff that you and I couldn't handle, and yet in real life, he doesn't like, let's say, having to worry about his bills that being random. He likes it living on a base, or he likes, the military stuff. A $5 super chat from Hush. I think for some, it's saved from bad influences, while others let games take over their life for the worse. Yeah, we all know somebody addicted to Call of Duty. Or not Call of Duty, sorry, GTA.
Wow, oh my God.
And WoW.
Oh, yeah. Bad one. What was, well, obviously some people died from DVT for getting too addicted. Like, I think someone in Korea or China.
Yeah.
I think Korea, right? He was sitting in this like 24/7 gaming, and he just died because he didn't even get up. He was smoking cigarettes, drinking Red Bull, and just remained in place for over 24 hours.
Can I point out that it is also possible that guy would have died anyway, and that some people's bodies are not perfect, and that shit just happens?
Sure.
I had somebody who was 21 who died of a heart attack with no drugs. His heart.
Yeah.
It just.
I mean, people have and some people's bloods can clot.
Yeah.
easily.
I hate it too because whenever you mention DVD, I always
Fuck
get out
DVD.
of the podcast and I'm like,
Yeah,
and by
yeah.
the way, I'm
Just
working out
move
every
a
day
little
and I'm
bit,
still
move a
like,
little
are
bit.
my calves tight? Are my calves?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, my calves are tight. I might have DVD. It's so dumb, but it's like once you hear about it and you read about it, you're like, well, shit, man. I want to make sure I don't have that. You're a bastard because I don't think I'm sure I knew about it, but I'm sure it was you and you mentioned on a podcast or something. Might have been the Korean story, but it's like once it's in your brain, it's there forever.
Yep, but I got over the DVD scare because I had like I was like, listen, dude, I went to like a hematologist,
Yeah, for blood.
or whatever. I'm like, listen, dude, check my blood. Just tell me I'm like chilling, I'm good. He's like, listen, he like checked shit. He's like, yo, dude, the chances of your blood clotting is like 0.00001%. I'm like, all right, I'm never
Listen, I
gonna
don't
think
know
about
you
it.
super well, but I know you well enough. You're a
Yeah.
hypochondriac, man. You're
I
like,
used to be,
or
yeah.
minimum. You're a low level.
I'm better now. Yeah, I'm
Are you
way
better
better
because
now,
you
dude.
checked? And so now you can go, I have been checked, so I'm not.
No, no, so here's the thing. This is like how I got over it. Because before I would check all the time. I would get reassurance, but then I would loop back and I'm like, oh, what if I have this? And then I'd
I
go and I'd
remember.
check and I'd be like, oh, yeah, all the time. And I think it was one day I was driving. It was recently. Actually the vacation helped a lot when I went to Spain and
Yeah,
stuff.
you
But
did seem like that one helped a lot.
that one
That is
helped
true.
so much,
Yeah.
dude. But there was one thing in my brain that clicked where I was like, I need to stop living inside my head and start living outside, just experiencing. Because I was like always like internalizing everything and like thinking internally and feeling everything happening in my body and feeling random pains and random shit that would throw me for a loop. And now I just like live like in the moment. I just like take things in. I just never think about stuff anymore. I'm not even I don't think I'm a hyper. I think I got over that. But it was long. It was from I was a hypochondriac and like getting anxiety and shit from like 2018 to like this year, like early this year. And it was slowly waning off, but now it's completely gone, thankfully. Anxiety, no more panic attacks, no more hypochondria. Yeah.
SBZ $2 super chat. What do you think of chocolate strawberry pizza? I think that sounds gross.
What the fuck?
It sounds disgusting.
What the fuck?
And how dare you mention that? That's going to be like DVT. Now that's all I'll think about whenever I eat a pizza is chocolate strawberry. Like, that's disgusting.
Yep.
Back onto what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, dude, there's absolutely nothing wrong with worrying. Like, and I think information helps. A lot of people will worry and they won't check. And I have a couple friends where they won't check and then they're worried. And then they're worried because they're stressed because they don't check. Like, go get a blood test occasionally, because, anybody can have anything.
Peace of mind.
But it's peace of mind. And they will, and it will fix not everything, but you'll see them just be like, oh, I don't know, every little heart pain, or they catch a rib. Have you ever caught a rib and it's actually just a cramp, but you feel like like a rib is caught in your lung? If you ever been wrong, I don't know if you have that. Only some people's body styles have this. But I have this thing that'll pop up, and it feels like a rib has pierced your lung. The only way to get rid of it is to breathe in really fast, and it pops. You've never had this, Abzy? You don't know what I'm talking about?
You breathe in, then it pops?
Yeah, and it pops, and the pain goes away. You've never had this? So this is a real thing.
Where is it? Like on the
It'll
rib?
be under your left. Usually it's under your left arm, but it can be under your right as well. But what's funny is, because it's when you take a breath, it mimics a lot of the feelings of like a possible heart attack or whatever. One of my friends had one when we were working out. And he's like, "Ugh!" And he dropped to the ground. So I thought he was dying. I was like, oh, he's like, oh my God, every time I breathe in, it's like the sharp, utter pain. And he went to the hospital. He got rid of it. He breathed in, it popped. He went into the doctor, got all checked out. But I'm telling you, all of his physical symptoms went away once he got checked out. All of his worries were sort of like, his blood pressure dropped like 25 points. Like,
so I had a DBT scare, and I was like, because that was back when I was a hypochondriac, and my whole left leg was killing me, literally killing me. Like only with the left leg, it was sore. Every time I moved it, everything hurt so much. And so I was like, fuck it, dude. I got checked for DVT. They did the ultrasound. You're good. DVT. Walked out of there, zero pain, dude.
Oh,
zero.
Whoa, weird. Okay.
It was all in my head somehow. And I could have sworn to you that it wasn't. Could have sworn to you that it was all physical. Yeah. The worst is dick pain though, because then you're like, oh shit, man, I don't want anything wrong with my dick. And then it's like,
I have
oh
no
no, it's
clue
just
where this just went. What are we talking about? You mean penis pain? You've had dick pain?
where it's like you feel tiny like little like you know what I mean? And then you're like,
No,
oh
I don't
shit,
know
I have
what
an
you mean.
STD. And then you go get checked and you don't have any STD.
I for some reason I was thinking like breaking it or like a
No, no,
a
no, no, no.
bend or
Like a little
you're talking
burn
about
or like a
thinking that you
little
have oh yeah, gotcha.
like a little like
Yeah.
electric shock or whatever. You think like, oh shit, dude, I must have gotten something. I must have gotten something. And then you go to the doctor and
one of the
you're
best
fine.
experience I ever had was one of my friends went to get a test for STD and he was a virgin. But he was peeing and it burnt. And it was probably too much of an acidic drink or something, but it was hilarious because we were teasing. Because I remember when he came back, we don't talk about it a lot, but health stuff, especially physical stuff, he'll bring up to me because I have had issues or I track this stuff. And he was telling me, I was like, "Aren't you a virgin?" He's like, "Yeah, they asked me that." And I was like, what? Yeah, of course they asked you that. How are you going to, I think it was in his brain. This was still 10 years, 20 years ago. I think he still thought it was a toilet seat kind of thing where like it's possible to get it. And it's like, yeah, it's possible.
I got AIDS from a
yeah, right. Yeah. It was so funny, man. He's such a good guy too. Like it was innocent, if that makes sense. It was innocent.
I remember I had like a 1 year where I went like kind of too crazy and I just like raw dogged and everything like and it was just like the worst. Like I was super not taking care of anything. Like I wasn't being smart.
Oh, safe.
And yeah, safe at all or anything like at all. I was being stupid and I just went crazy. And then like after that I was like, well, I'm gonna go get checked and I'm 100% sure I'm gonna be positive on like everything, and everything came back negative. And I'm like, dude, I'm like the luckiest person in the world. I'm invincible.
That's why the problem with a lot of the stuff that ends up messing people up is that either they think they're invincible or it doesn't cause a symptom.
Or they worry too much. Yeah.
Or they worry too much. Yeah. But I've had friends where, like, for example, blood pressure doesn't have a lot of symptoms. And you'll have people who just die. My grandpa had 2 heart attacks, then died of it. But his blood pressure, I don't think he got it checked out of the military. So for like 40 years, he never had it checked. And then when he went in, they were like, oh, yeah, it's 280 over like 140. So you're in a heart attack mode right now. And he was like, what? Why would I check that? He was older. It wasn't a big tracking like it is now. But some things, there is no symptom. Glaucoma, you'll hear a lot of eye things where people, they'll be like, oh, it's a cloudy day. Maybe, I've migraine or whatever. And it's like, you should probably, as somebody who's had cataracts, it's like, you probably want to go get that shit checked out.
So scary, dude.
Yeah. Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. To be fair, the man, meaning Absy, enjoys toothpaste. I know that joke.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Yeah, eye stuff you don't want to mess with. Overall, I think that whatever healthcare people may believe, I do think it's advanced to such it is pretty sweet when you do, when somebody does have an issue or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, that's livable now, where 20 years ago it wasn't livable. 40 years ago it's a death sentence. Cancer's still a bitch. But I mean, not only that, but HIV, one of the biggest ones, because I grew up in the
now.
Well, it's something. Come on, you and your weird 100% or 0%. It's something, but I'm saying that literally it's more of a livable thing.
But it's also like very rare. But herpes, like don't like 80% of people have herpes, but they just don't know. Like because sometimes like it could just live there and never show up in symptoms and just never, and you'd never be able to test for it because
it's the
you could
blood
get false
pressure of
positives,
STDs,
false negatives, and yeah,
dude. There's all kinds of stuff, but like I said, the nice thing is that it's just, especially when I grew up, Princess Diana was pushing like she was trying to help HIV/AIDS victims not have a stigma, and because it was a big deal. People were like, oh, if you touch them, if you're near them, you'll get it. And I don't know if you remember, probably before your time, but there was a video of her shaking somebody's hand, and it was a big deal. People were like, oh my God, like,
Who?
Princess Diana somebody had HIV and she shook their hand. That was considered a big deal.
HIV.
Yeah, it was considered a big deal because at that time there was this stigma, and it's so cool.
Well, she's not ass fucking him.
Well, no. Dude, you just went to 100% again. What is your? It's the
No,
more
no.
tired you get, the more.
No, I mean
100%
that's the only way
get.
you can get it. Right?
Well, not the only way, but
an
yeah,
open wound.
yeah.
Like
No,
open wound.
but that's the thing is, 20 years ago, people. I mean, the rumors were like you could just get it from being in the same car as somebody. You know, it's like all that, and I think that's what's awesome with healthcare now, or not healthcare, but medicine and stuff. You hear like a lot of these things. My wife's uncle had a bone cancer for 20 years that really didn't show up for the last 2, but he knew.
Yeah.
And it was because they had drugs that like suppressed it to the point to where there was no real ill effect. And by the way, that would have killed him, in 3 or 4 years prior. And just like some of my family members, seen like some of the stuff that they've been able to take for things is like, it's really cool in that way. That's why I can't wait. Like I told you prior to the podcast, I can't wait until AI figures out like arm, when somebody loses their arm, get AI to figure out where your fingers are so that prosthetics work better. That'll be so great because you see somebody with prosthetics still having clumsy issues, when AI can say, this person's doing exactly this with it. It's going to be
Didn't
so
they do
great.
the thing where they like
I
connected
think they're
the
messing around
nerves
with it, but I haven't really tracked it too much. I just think AI is going to fix a bunch of that stuff where it can
being
sense
able to
where the
completely...
noise, remove the noise of a person's brain and just go, this is exactly what they're doing.
That'd be awesome.
That kind of, or when we went working out at this high school, the guy he had a missing leg and he had the robotic the running blade.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The replacement.
It goes like this.
And that dude was speeding, man. I mean, I was like, I would assume he was faster than he was. And I was just like, dude, technology rocks, man. That guy was blasting it. And he was always going to one direction, though. And I didn't ask him, but I was like, because he only had one leg replaced. So I'm assuming maybe he had to, because it's a different.
Like he was going like diagonal?
No, around the track. He went the opposite way than you normally go, I believe. And I was thinking maybe that was because the blade.
You're all running one way.
Yeah, like a NASCAR. Okay. I don't know. I'd have to ask him. What were you going to say? I interrupted you.
I forgot when.
I don't know. We were talking about a bunch of stuff. Were you going to tell me 100% on something? Were you going to be like, this is...
No, we were talking about SDDs.
A while ago. We don't need to bring it back up. Nobody needs to hear
Martin,
that.
And I was going to say, what I remember the AIDS medicine... Actually, the who discovered the treatment for AIDS was my university, Western University from London, Ontario.
Was it? Who found like the suppression of it, the AZT
things
AZT.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but what was are the prices still hiked from the Martin Shkreli thing?
Oh, like you mean the drug prices? I think one of our he talks about it but I'm not going to say his name. But one of the people in my Discord has diabetes. Sure. And from what I understand, that medicine, unless it's metformin, which I think is pretty cheap because I know somebody on it. I think some of the diabetes medicines are still cranked. There's always going to be those. And people be like, oh, it's just in the United States. No, it's not, because one of my friends is not in the United States and he's got it and he's getting shafted too. It's just medicine in a lot of places, depending on where, it's sold, where it's manufactured. But yeah, what was his name? Shkreli?
Yeah, Martin Shkreli. Yeah.
That was the guy who raised the price of something to like
he raised the price of
1,000%.
Some AIDS medicine. Yeah, it went from $7 to $700 or something like that.
Yes. What a POS.
Yeah,
man.
but the latest thing he did was a pump and dump of a crypto where something happened. I think he either stole the money or something happened. Ouch. And then he tried to convince everybody that he downloaded a torrent, like a porn torrent, and it had like he clicked on a JPEG and it had a virus that like deleted the money from the wallet. And that was his excuse.
Dude, you know how...
Oh, no, it was a screensaver.
So, you know how repeat offenders of stuff, after a while, they're like, we're going to remove you. You have pedophiles that can't live near schools. You have you can't drive if you've been arrested for drunk driving after a while. There's certain things. Why is it that nobody says this guy can't run a business at all? Like, he has to work at McDonald's for the rest of his life. At some point, he's a repeat offender of, like, business scam. I mean, is there a thing? I'm sure you can't get a business license, but he gets away. It's obvious that he's,
Yeah, how does he get, like, LLCs and shit?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe somebody doesn't track him, but that guy is a piece of...
He was in Watch Dogs 2 in a way. Remember that?
You mean the character in Watch Dogs 2 that does that? Because it
there
wasn't
was a
him,
character
right?
No, but it was basically him, where
Was it
where you have to hack into somebody who got the only Wu-Tang Clan album, or like in the game it wasn't called Wu-Tang Clan, and then you kind of prank call him, and
Yeah.
it was a side quest. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Oh, I should have mentioned it. I should have said America's terrible because somebody's already bitching in chat. The moment I said that it's not just in America. Jesus Christ.
What happened?
I was talking about medicine, and I was like, yeah, it's not just in America. There's somebody outside of it, and they're like, yeah, but it doesn't mean it's not terrible here. Of course. That's how the contrast was. You always know there's always going to be somebody who gets mad about
There's
it.
always a downside to everything too, though, because
Yeah.
like I was in Canada and they have free healthcare there, but when you go to the hospital, dude, like you gotta
Oh,
the wait
dude.
and the
Or
fucking,
our friend who got his
yeah.
kidney replaced. His was free, I think, or whatever it's called. You know, like it's supported by healthcare where
Sure.
he was. But the wait time was the most unbelievable thing I've ever heard. He told me the wait time was like, dude, that's a human life. What are you talking about? He's like, well, yeah, it's
and the
free.
quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, not to depress anybody.
There's a lot of
Have an
caveats.
awesome time. There are caveats, but there's not caveats here. You always get good chat. Thank you, Abzi. Is there anything you want to? You don't stream. Is there anything you're doing cool?
No,
this next week?
I'm kind of getting a little bit more active on Twitter and shit. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter,
At Abzi _.
Yeah, that's it.
Is that it?
Yeah, Absi _ ABSSII _. And I like fucking around on Twitter. So
I just want to say I finally got something right. I finally
yeah,
got something
dude,
right.
you got yeah, dude. You know, because you call me Abzi and not Apsi, people in the comment section go like ABZI instead. It's funny.
How do you pronounce it? App?
No, ab like B, Apsi.
Abzi.
Yeah, Apsi. Yeah.
And people.
Abzi is fine, but people think it's a ZI because it's Abzi. Apsi.
Oh, I see. You know what, though?
Yeah.
People can fuck off. Dude, I grew up as Jeremy. I'm so, like, numb to everything because when I grew up, nobody could pronounce my name.
Jeremy.
Yeah. It was all, it was like, admittedly, I'll make sure I pronounce it just perfectly next time. So anybody who fucks up, we can call them.
Thanks, Hush, for the happy birthday.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah. How old? 29.
I'm 29. I'm
sorry,
30,
I shouldn't have forgot that. You're 29, almost 30. Right, teetering on ancient. So Abzi's like, he's got one
more
year,
dude.
One more year of
in my
humping
20s.
and having fun and just doing as much drugs as possible. And then the moment you turn 30, it's over.
Oh, yeah.
Game over.
Oh, yeah. Everything's going to hurt.
Everything's going to hurt.
Everything already hurts.
Wake up and be like, what the fuck? Yeah, what was it, your left leg? You'll be like, now it's my right leg, man. I am screwed up. No, I'm just joking. You'll be fine. You're in good health, which is, I mean, as long as you move around, I think sedentary is the one thing, that like you always hear ends up killing people.
Yeah, I was in a rough, I was very sedentary for like a year or two.
Do you still go to the gym? Do you still go? We said we were going to be done, but we're still talking. Do you still go to your local gym?
I haven't been since I got, I don't know if I got COVID or something like 2 weeks ago.
You get sick?
Something. I got something. I got sick.
I remember.
Yeah. But now I'm good now, so I'm gonna start again. Yeah. But I need to get bigger. Honestly, I've gotten way thinner now because of the diet. Shit.
Just pumping those irons.
Yeah, I need to get bigger, dude.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Do you want to get bigger, like I want to bench more, or do you want to get like I want to shred, or do you want to get bulky, or do you want to get a movie star? Is there a movie star you like the look of? Where you like Jason Statham?
Yeah,
I like him.
I definitely want to get shredded more, but I definitely want to get bulkier right now. Like I've been shredding for a while, kind of because of my diet. It's all diet. And now I just kind of want to get bigger because I was way bigger like a couple of years ago.
It's time to really find those testosterone boosters and get them.
Yeah,
buy
and I
the
want to
ones
get back
from
into
GNC that are
fighting.
really safe.
Yeah, I really want to get into fighting.
What? At 29, bro?
Get back into fighting.
Okay.
No, I don't want to compete. I just want to fight. I just want to train. Because
Oh, okay.
I was
'Cause I was
doing
like,
Muay Thai I don't want to do Muay Thai again, but maybe I want to do something. Maybe just box. I just want to box or something. I just want to punch. Yeah, I want to get back into it because I've been doing salsa for a while now, and like I feel like I need to balance it out with like a fighting style or something.
Mike Sue, ACG pronounced my last ACQ. He didn't even do mine right. He said ACQ pronounced my last name pretty good a couple times for my recent donations. It does confuse me, but I think I got it right. Thank you very much for the super chat. I wanted to ask you, though, well, I mean, you've talked about it. So are you still dating the girl that you went salsa dancing with?
I never dated a girl I was going salsa dancing with.
You, what? What? What?
Wait, what do you mean by dating? Like going?
Okay, my version of dating. Your version of friends. I don't know what the fuck it is, but are you dating anybody? Is that what I should have said?
Like I'm going on dates, but I don't like with multiple. Like I just yesterday I got
By
someone's
the
phone
way,
number to like.
anybody listening, this is what somebody sounds like when they're trying to back up something so they don't get in trouble.
No, I'm not. I'm fine, dude. No.
I'm teasing.
Like
you.
yesterday, I got a phone number to like practice outside of the class so it can be better or something.
Oh, that.
Oh, there was this one girl. No. Oh shit. Yeah. I'm tomorrow. Yeah.
I was right. I was right.
No,
I
tomorrow.
was like, I'm not fucking. I'm not making
No,
shit
you're not.
up.
Yeah. There's. She's like the wifey though. Like most likely. I don't know, man. Honestly.
Oh, you mean like she's like solid,
Like wifey material.
like wifey? Yeah.
Yeah. She's very.
The reason why I was asking is because if you go to salsa, and you're going with with this other person, do you find it more difficult to go to the gym by yourself, or do you find?
No, I
I
need to go by myself.
Okay, gotcha.
No, I go to salsa by myself.
Oh, do you? You go to salsa completely by yourself? Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I just meet people there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I always have. This has just always been my thing. I like groups, and so I teach on my own. But like, if it were to go to a class, I like to have. I don't know why. It's almost like couch co-op, and I'm not joking.
Yeah, that's true.
But I love to be with a friend, and when we go to the gym or whatever, I like to be like, dude, good job. Is this something about that social aspect? I mean, I love working out on my own here, but if I go somewhere, I very much like to have somebody with me.
Actually,
I don't know why.
If I do go to the gym with someone, I kind of work out harder. I push myself way more.
Dude,
for sure.
That's why personal trainers, for anybody out there who's having a problem with diet or workout, I usually always am like, if you have somebody as a personal trainer nearby, you may want to get them because it does make a difference,
dude,
when that's why they're there.
Dude, and if you can't afford it, literally, like, there's so many forums and stuff you can join and just upload pictures of progress and chat with other people, and that helps so much. Or just the first baby step, I would say, is just take a picture of yourself like every week. And that motivates you so much to see that progress.
Dude, it's so funny you mention that because I just brought that up and somebody called me toxic. Because I said, they called me toxic towards myself. Because since I was a kid, when I started lifting, whatever, I've always believed that taking a picture of your progress also can indicate bad stuff. You're not taking care of yourself. You are taking care of yourself, what have you. And I was like, listen, I do talk negatively towards myself. Like if I make a mistake or whatever, I'll be like, God, what are you doing? You got to fix it. I won't sit there and fucking be doing heroin on the street corner like depressed, but I'll be like, dude, what are you doing? But I think that the negative, seeing a picture of yourself and being like, I probably need to, get back here, because the number sometimes can confuse you on a scale. 230 pounds is 230 pounds to one person and it's healthy. 230 pounds to another person can be dramatically unhealthy. And that's why BMI shit. They were all, I was just like, no, I'm just saying that for me, that works. I need a picture and I'll be like, dude, you need to fix this, or and it doesn't mean I'm sitting there, hammering on myself. And I was just like, wow, as a society, we're in deep shit. If that single picture is crushing you that much, you ain't going to handle it in the real world when somebody's,
outrage.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. It used to be such an okay thing to take a picture of progress. And now, and by the way, I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you are right. I think pictures of progress and forums like that can really help. There are bitches, people who are assholes.
Yeah, of course.
But for the most part, I think it is healthy. You take, haven't you ever done that? Like, you'll see a picture, or, oh, dude, the worst is
what?
Cell phone. Somebody take a video of you, 5-6 years ago, like family reunion, and you weren't taking care of yourself, and you'll see that video and you'll be like, oh God.
Oh God.
Can we delete that from
God.
history? I got one family reunion where I'm like, I need to delete that with a worm or something.
Around the time Elden Ring released, like a couple days after, I had to go to this like engagement party, and I got a picture from that. Oh my God.
God, it's making me. It works, but it's so rough, right? When you have the yeah. And I have it a lot. Like I always want to improve, so it's like I do have it a lot. But yeah, you'll see. Somebody.
I always change. Like I look different every year to year. That's for better, for work, for
right,
worse.
right. I think all humans do, especially like water retention. Your diet, if you're doing keto, your diet will look, your face will look different. My face looks different. Like you'll see yourself and you'll be like, okay, this is, or age. But yeah, dude, you'll see those. You'll see a picture where you're not like, how sometimes somebody they'll be like, we're gonna say cheese, and you're like sucking the gut. Got to get the perfect stance. Yeah. Maybe joke around.
No candids.
Yeah, no candids. But then somebody will like be recording at a wedding, and you're eating cake and shit, and you're like, nah, and they take a picture and you see it, and you're like, oh God, it's time to work out, man. And by the way, that's not being body negative towards anybody. I hate that I love eggnog. R.L. Stein says eggnog is delicious.
It is, and it's very fatty for sure.
It's the worst thing possible
sugary.
for you.
So bad.
Yeah,
but it's so good. Yeah. What was we were talking about something, and something popped into my head. You were talking
working
about
out, salsa, taking a picture of progress and gains.
You were taking a picture of progress. There was that one, taking a picture of your progress. There was something about it. People got pissed.
Yeah.
You were talking about people getting pissed, and then you went on a tangent a little bit, and I had something to say about it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, people got pissed. They called me toxic. Well, this one person called me toxic because I said that I look at my own picture. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was in a forum for it, and it was interesting to me because it was a workout forum. And I was like, are we changing? You know how sometimes you'll come back to a group and they've changed their dynamic because they've been in the group? I haven't been in the group. So I was like, and admittedly, when I work out or when I do martial arts, I have a slightly older school mentality already, but this was to me, that was almost shocking. I was like, are we not okay with posting, our own, especially because I wasn't saying like,
if someone
look how fat I was.
Like they were part of the bodybuilding forums, and
yeah, and I was like, I don't want to see your picture then, I guess. I don't know. It was just one of those things. Like, it's like, oh, maybe I don't want to see it. But yeah, it was just one of those ones when you're called something. I was like, no, dude, I can be toxic. That wasn't toxic. I was quite literally just showing a picture of myself. It was just one of those times when you look at a group and you're like, oh, maybe things have changed. And because I haven't been in it, and there could have been an experience somebody did have where people teased them. I didn't see that when I popped in. They were all really nice. Like I said, it was one person. ACG in the house and out of the house. When will we get your Bluey game review? I don't know what that is.
Bluey?
What is it?
What's Bluey?
I have no clue.
Wait, actually, Bluey? Wait,
when will we get your Bluey game review? I don't know what it is. I used to ask about Pig in the Poke or whatever. There was a game that came out with a pig in its name, and people always wanted me to review it. I guess it was a terrible game, but I get that. Sometimes we'll get a title of a game. You
Bluey. Yeah, it's a cartoon.
Oh, gotcha.
Is there a game?
Game of the year, Dell says. Yeah, well, I don't trust you. Anybody who's in our chat who tries to tell me something's game of the year, I already know it's shit. They want to.
Oh yeah, dude. It's so funny to see. Like there was like a Sony. Oh, we didn't talk about the Sony lawsuit, but there was they announced like these are the games coming to like premium for trial. And it was Baldur's Gate 3 and Gollum. I feel like they did it on purpose or
Top
something.
Of the line, bottom of the line. Hey, we were talking about going 100%, 100%, 0%.
Dude.
There's no in between. That'll be it for us, everybody. Thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate it. If you get a chance to join the Patreon, if not, that's cool too. Though I'll hate you forever, and I'll be toxic about it. You got anything to add? That's it.
No, that's it. Follow me on Twitter.
Follow him on Twitter, and we'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.